Alrighty, we are in countdown mode. Let me put out the Twitter. Well, okay, not Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore. The X reminder. Yeah, okay, there we go. Fucking X. Fucking hate X. Ugh. Oh well, but thank you guys for showing up early. Gonna be having a great stream tonight. Gonna be chatting about some upcoming horror movies that maybe or maybe will not come out. I know Winnie the Pooh was definitely going to come out. The other thing I'm talking about might not come out. I guess we'll see. Hopefully, if it's a good thing, it'll come out. Otherwise, hopefully it doesn't come out. If it, but I'll get to that later. Lots of catching up that's necessary, though. Lots of catching up. I'm just killing time until till it's actually 10. So, yeah, there we go. Now we can begin. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and welcome to Dr. Wolfula After Dark, my late-night chat show where I talk about the latest things happening in the world of horror. And a lot of things have been happening in the world of horror that I haven't been addressing, even though I was meaning to for a while because I was really sick last month. February was a shitty month. Bad month to get sick because it's so fucking cold, too. Just horrible. I was just struggling for like 2 weeks of that month, and it's a short month, but man, it was just brutal. But I'm finally feeling better. I'm finally able to get back into streaming. I'll be streaming more frequently here and on Twitch, so follow me on twitch.tv/drwolfula, because I'll be streaming more frequently. Also, going to be having some upcoming videos too, but for tonight, I just want to catch up on two news pieces that caught my eye, and then I'll move on to the live Q&A portion where I'll be answering all of your questions live, chatting with you guys directly. So, let's get to the horror news already. Okay. Alright, I was looking at the chat for a second. I was like, what is the chat saying right now? Let me look at the chat real quick. But these are my thoughts on the Winnie the Pooh 2 trailer. Now, I have not seen the trailer yet. I have been waiting to see it until this particular stream. I was hoping to have the stream sooner, but just wasn't really possible unless Goulash did the stream instead, and I wasn't going to let that fucking happen. But before I talk about the trailer, I'll show some poster art of the individual characters this Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey sequel will be featuring. It'll be featuring much more of the entire cast of Winnie the Pooh characters, and I'll be showing off the redesigns and new designs of characters. Starting off with Winnie the Pooh himself. He looks quite different. He looks a lot more pissed off in this movie. So let me get a closer look at his poster art. Just block me completely. He looks pissed off. This is very misleading poster art. We'll get to it in the trailer. He does not really look like this. It seems like it's an improvement. And in some ways, I guess it's a better mask. But it doesn't really look as much like Winnie the Pooh as the previous movie. It looks a lot less like Winnie the Pooh. So I guess, it's a better mask, but it doesn't look like Winnie the Pooh this time around, though, so I guess there was some drawbacks to it. Piglet himself looks pretty much the same from the first movie. It's definitely different. He's a lot thicker in the, he's got more of a human-like face. He's got a thicker neck. He's got kind of like a George Lucas neck. He looks a bit more like a Power Rangers villain. They've had multiple Power Rangers villains that were pig-like creatures, so I guess it's an improvement. He at least looks like he's got, expressions to him. The first movie, he was just, locked in... he was like a Gamorrean guard in the first movie. He was just locked into one expression. Now, this is the big-ticket character in this movie, Tigger. This is apparently supposed to be Tigger. He doesn't look at all like Tigger, though. This just looks like, I guess, a pissed-off demonic furry. It doesn't look like Tigger, though. Hopefully, at the very least, he will be using his, the one defining characteristic he has, the fucking tail that he uses to bounce around. If he doesn't bounce around in this movie, then they really fucked up, because the reason why Tigger couldn't be in the previous movie, of course, was Tigger just went into the public domain, so of course they were like, alright, we got something we could use for a sequel, we'll just wait it out, we'll get Winnie the Pooh out right away, and then we'll get Tigger next, but Doesn't look like Tigger. Doesn't look like any illustration of Tigger. So it's like very loosely. It's like basically they're calling this a Winnie the Pooh movie, but it's like just the names. It's like there's nothing really about it. There's nothing really anybody can really get pissed off at this point about either, because it's like it doesn't even resemble. Like no kid would look at this and be like, "Oh, that ruins Tigger," for that, because it doesn't look like Tigger. This is so different. Owl is the most egregious design for me, though. Owl is like. And someone asked, where's Rabbit? Apparently, I mean, maybe Rabbit was, like, set up in the previous movie, like, in illustrations, but I guess we'll wait and see. No, wait, maybe, I know Eeyore got eaten, so maybe Rabbit got eaten, too. I guess we'll wait and see, but I gotta say, Owl does not look like an owl. He looks more like a hawk creature or an eagle creature. He doesn't look owl-like at all, so it's just, he looks like Vulture from Spider-Man. It's just very, I don't know. It's just, they're really playing fast and loose with the Winnie the Pooh property is all I'm really going to say. I guess it looks kind of like a cool version of Vulture if this was a Spider-Man movie. Maybe this was, like, supposed to be Sony's Vulture movie, but they decided against it. I guess he looks like Vulture mixed with Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers. Lots of Power Rangers-like designs. But let's watch the trailer. Check it out, and hopefully, you know, it's better than the previous movie. I mean, it's still just a trailer, but it's, you know, get a decent idea of it. So, already off the bat, I want to point out the trailer cliche of beginning a horror trailer with a metronome followed by someone playing a tape recorder. I don't even know why they're using, like, you know, because this takes place modern day. I don't know why they're using analog tape. I guess because it looks creepier. I guess that's really all it is. But I just love how so many horror trailers begin with, like, a metronome being played and, like, someone in therapy. It's like, it's like a checklist of things you need to put in your horror movie trailer.
Feel all weight drift away.
So this is apparently the same guy who played Christopher Robin in the previous movie, but he looks different to me. He looks like David Duchovny. I remember him, I guess maybe because his face looks so fucked up. In the previous movie, it was hard to tell, but he looks so totally different. Maybe this is a different character, though. They don't really say this guy's name, but I guess we'll find out. Conetheus says this super chat. Thank you, Conetheus. I like you more than goulash. Good. Let's continue.
Good, I think.
Do you recall anything from the session? Focus.
It's probably not Christopher Robin because it's like a different backstory here. Like, this guy basically has the same backstory as the dude from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. His brother got kidnapped.
Billy was taken.
His brother Billy. So yeah, Billy was not mentioned in the previous movie, so this has got to be a different guy. Definitely not Christopher Robin. Though I don't think they show Christopher Robin at any point in this trailer, so I'm kind of wondering where he even is. But then again, they didn't really show Christopher Robin in the trailer for the first Blood and Honey either. But I want to go back to Pooh right there. Pooh is back. And, you know, it's like a better mask, but it's just like, it's like they were just told to make a better mask, but there's just nothing really Winnie the Pooh-like about it. It looks more like a bear, though, I guess. You know, all right. I don't know why he looks so much thinner in this movie. I guess I know the reason why. It's like a different guy playing Winnie the Pooh in this movie. They just recasted the actor. I don't know why they were like, okay, we got to get a different guy. Because now he looks even less like Winnie the Pooh because it's a skinny guy. He looks very Grinch-like, but he doesn't look Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh's supposed to be a big, husky guy. In this movie, he's, like, really skinny. I don't know why they decided in that direction. I guess because he got reborn. I guess that's how we're going to explain it. Okay, now we got a good look at Tigger right here. He looks pissed off, you know. I guess maybe he's pissed off to be in this movie. Maybe he was pissed off like they didn't put me in this movie, but he looks more like a chihuahua or a dog. He doesn't look quite like a tiger or a cat. He looks more like a dog, but all right. Okay.
Was allowing this horror
What was that, Tommy Lee Jones?
to rise up.
Irish Tommy Lee Jones? But I think it'll follow a very similar format from the first movie where the Winnie the Pooh characters just come across some random bitches and just fuck up their forest retreat and kill them all. Oh my god, okay, let's look at that. Yeah, like, Winnie the Pooh looks like a skinhead. He looks like he's been doing methamphetamines or something. Like, he joined, like, some kind of Aryan gang in prison. Like, it's just like, all right, we need to make him look scarier. Make him look more pissed off. Make him look less like Winnie the Pooh, I guess. Oh, man. Really showing the weaknesses in making a Winnie the Pooh movie. God damn.
Tell me everything.
Holy shit. They did this. That's some Donnie Darko shit right there. Where's Frank?
I knew that this day would come.
Actually, no. I was thinking this old man was supposed to be Christopher Robin, and it's like a time jump. Probably not. Because I know the original Christopher Robin actor from the previous movie is in this movie somewhere. They're just not showing him. He looks like Freddy Krueger. This does not look like Tigger. It doesn't help that they also don't show his ears, so it's just like... This just looks like Tigger's about to call this guy a bitch. And actually, this is supposed to be Christopher Robin. So there's like a totally different backstory that we just weren't made aware of. And also, he looks totally different from the previous movie. He was like a lot skinnier. Like, unless it's... Okay, I don't know. Like, it's got to be a different actor. And I guess that's... an interesting point in this trailer. It makes it very clear that this time around, Pooh and his friends do talk. They have like demonic voices. They talked a little bit in the previous movie. I guess now they're gonna talk. They swore an oath that they would never talk again, so I kind of wonder what happened there. Here we go. Okay, let me get a better look at... Like, he looks kind of like he could be passable as the same guy from the previous movie here. But in a lot of the other shots, he looks just like a totally different... Like, even under all that makeup, just like a totally different dude. They got a much more svelte actor to play Pooh this time around. And Georgie Films asked, what public domain horror would you make? I don't know if I'd want to... I guess I would want to make a horror movie that's out of something that's already horror. There's lots of horror stories that are public domain already. Like, I'd love to make a really cool Frankenstein movie. That's definitely public domain. Something that's, takes some liberties with the original material and pays tribute to the... Like, I would really love to do a big-budget version of James Whale's Frankenstein, a modern big-budget version where it still takes place in the turn of the century and shit, but it's, like, on a much more massive, epic scale. And it kind of revamps the monster's design in certain ways, but it's still recognizably the same Jack Pierce design, just made more modernized, I guess. That would be really fun. That'd be cool. So I don't know why Pooh and his friends are attacking this, I guess, this costume party orgy. So, this is, like, completely out of context in this trailer. Like, usually trailers give you some type of context. I don't know why they would be here. I guess maybe they were just near this fucking rave, I guess. Oh, okay, what happened to that guy? I guess that was the guy who was bandaged up. I guess, this has got to be Christopher Robin, actually. He maybe got mauled by Pooh, possibly. Okay, this might be Christopher Robin, maybe. I can't figure out who else that could be, because Christopher Robin's nowhere else in this trailer. Well, then no, they showed like a guy they called Christopher. This is confusing. I don't know. I'm very confused with the trailer. I'll read the synopsis that's released for this movie and try to get some kind of clear context. Here's the poster, though, the full poster, and it looks like a video game. It does not look like a it does not look like a movie poster. It looks like something that would be rated M for mature. That would be like in the bargain bin for Xbox 360 or something. Looks like a Mortal Kombat game. Like, there's just nothing Winnie the Pooh-esque about it. They don't even really have honey. Like, they had, like, the honey motif in all the poster art before. They don't even bother with that. I guess, like, the flaming chainsaw is pretty cool. Okay, so this is apparently the synopsis for Blood and Honey 2. Deep within the 100-acre wood, a destructive rage grows as Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Owl, and Tigger find their home and their lives endangered after Christopher Robin revealed their existence. I don't know when that happened, but anyway, not wanting to live in the shadows any longer, the group decides to take the fight to the town of Ashdown, home of Christopher Robin, leaving a bloody trail of death and mayhem in their wake. Winnie and his savage friends will show everyone that they are deadlier, stronger, and smarter than anyone could ever imagine, and get their revenge on Christopher Robin once and for all. Now, I don't really understand why Pooh and his friends are trying to get their revenge against Christopher Robin. It's not even really made clear in the original movie. It just seemed like Christopher Robin was like, he just left. That's basically all he did. He just left the 100-acre wood. That's pretty much it. That's all that happened. But for whatever reason, that means that Pooh and his friends just want to fuck Christopher Robin up at all costs. I don't really get it. It feels like a very flimsy motivation. Because, like, Christopher Robin left, and, he was still cool with them when he left. He was just like, I got other shit to do. And he came back eventually. It was just Pooh and Piglet and the rest of the woodland creatures just had no survival instincts. Like, it's not Christopher Robin's fault. I just don't understand the revenge aspect of this plot line, but oh well. Oh, thank you for the very generous super chat, Joseph Finley. Sorry I missed you during your vacation. Joseph says, okay, Doc, Betty Boop is open next year. Story? Is there going to be a Betty Boop horror movie, or are you just asking, since Betty Boop becomes public domain, what would the horror movie be? Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily want a horror movie Betty Boop. I'd maybe want, like, a porno Betty Boop, or a Betty Boop that's, like, two from drawn together. Like, just watch her life fall apart. Like, just, I don't know. I would like to see that. Like, her just becoming a drug addict, like, just descending into, and maybe killing people too, maybe turning it into like a monster situation with Betty Boop, where she becomes like a drug addict prostitute and starts killing people. Maybe that's how you can make it work. Maybe you can, like, to be more clever, make it like, tie it into like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque world where there's cartoon characters that exist. And, unfortunately, Betty Boop has things the hardest out of all these out-of-work cartoon characters, maybe. I think that's how you could approach Betty Boop, possibly. But if you're wondering when Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 comes out this fucking month. I'm as surprised as you guys. I wasn't seeing that coming. I thought it was going to maybe come out closer to October, but I guess October just has so much more competition that you really just, all you could really hope to do is release a movie like this in March, when there's absolutely no horror movie competition. It's coming out in March 26th through 28th, so it's probably going to have an extremely limited release window. So if you want to see it, I guess don't real. I'm okay. I'm just gonna make this clear. Don't rush out to see this movie. Don't feel like, okay, I have to catch Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 because it's gonna have such a limited window of release. Because this is definitely coming out to streaming very soon too. I'm kind of wondering if I should even bother to see it in theaters, because, if I see it in theaters, I could get a video out soon, but I won't have access to all the material to make, like, an in-depth video. So maybe I'll end up waiting a bit after the release like I did with the previous one, just so I can actually have more clips to work with. I guess we'll see what happens. So, in the latter case, hopefully I just forget this movie comes out until it comes out streaming, because I maybe prefer to wait for it to stream myself, but definitely got to cover this movie further in some form in the future. So keep an eye out for a future review of this movie. Joseph Finley has another super chat. Challenge accepted. Betty Boop as our Miss Tilly. I would like to see Jennifer Tilly play Betty Boop. Just a strung out, burned out Betty Boop. I think that would be pretty good. She's got the titties for Betty Boop, that's for sure. She's also got, the voice for Betty Boop too, so that'd be perfect casting. Now, before I move on to the live Q&A, I just got a few things to address next. I want to address Texas Chainsaw Legacy, the rumored future Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. Of course, there's going to eventually be a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. They can't leave these franchises alone, of course, so there will be another one at some point. I don't know if it'll tie in with that Netflix one. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. The Netflix one felt like a clean break, though, because it just ended with Leatherface on the loose and going back to his house. So you could have it tie in with that one, but you don't have to worry about, like, okay, well, what about Sally Hardesty, the recasted Sally Hardesty, because Marilyn Byrd's passed away, so we just have to recast her and try to make her fucking Laurie Strode. Well, she died, so there's that. And I don't know if anybody's interested in the school shooter character who drives away on autopilot at the end of that movie. I don't know if anyone cares about continuing their story, so get a clean break at least, so if they want to continue with that movie, they don't have to worry too much about carrying things over from the previous film. But this movie is just a rumor, though. I want to make this clear. This poster is just fan art. This is made by Creepy Duck Designs. They make a lot of these fan posters when movies are still kind of rumored, especially horror movies, when they're rumored, when they're still in the making. And fortunately or unfortunately, their posters do get passed off as real posters to try to add some legitimacy. But this is still totally a rumor. But I think all these rumored horror movies do have some basis in some level of fact, because there's for sure another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in development. We just don't really know what it's necessarily going to be for a fact. We just have this leaked synopsis for what it will possibly be, and I feel like maybe that's on purpose. That's possibly whatever studio, I guess Legendary is still in charge of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, maybe. So I guess if Legendary did leak this information out, it's just to gauge interest from audiences to find out, does anyone want another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, to get some feedback about what it maybe should be. I'll just read the leaked synopsis of what the rumored movie apparently is supposed to be. The film is set to explore the seemingly peaceful facade of Oasis Oaks, a gated community in rural Texas. Within the manicured lawns and vigilant security, a protagonist family enjoying suburban bliss becomes entangled in a harrowing battle for survival as they confront the infamous Leatherface and his macabre kin on an abandoned property nearby. So, I feel like that's a decent premise for a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's not like next level, like based on just that, but it works for me just for the fact that they make it clear that it isn't going to be Leatherface alone. If this movie is real, he is going to have his family backing him up. So that's already an upgrade from the previous movies. It still needs to, like, you know, have, like, some good horror, like, some great set design, other aspects to make it, you know, make it worthy of the name Texas Chainsaw, but I feel like it's at least a decent start, like a good, if it is a real movie, a real version of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel that's in the works, if it is real, that's at least a step in the right direction for it to have the family take precedent again, because the previous movies did not have the family at all. So, the issue with that, though, comes with inventing a whole new family for Leatherface and figuring that out. I don't know, because, like, you can't really, I mean, it'd be kind of neat to see Edwin Neal come back just as a totally new character, because, you know, he wouldn't play the hitchhiker again, of course, but it'd be, you know, he could pass off as, like, a different family member. All this time has passed, like, only fans would know him. Oh, he played the hitchhiker, like, anybody else wouldn't necessarily be confused. So it'd be cool to see Edwin Neal come back. Maybe at least for a cameo, because he's like the only guy still alive, too, from the original movie. Him and John Dugan, and, yeah, some of the regular, like, the victim characters from the original movie are still alive, but as out of the original family, just, like, 2 people are still alive, so it would be nice to see Edwin Neal come back. He was in the video game, at least, so I guess we'll see how that can work out. KDB has a super chat. Thank you, Katie. Oh, well, okay. KDB says, you are the best, Doc. I want to buy you an ice cream. Well, thank you. Definitely bought me an ice cream there. Okay. I'm just going to say Connie says, do you prefer Netflix or Shudder? Well, I got to say Shudder has a much better horror selection, so I got to go with Shudder for sure. But Yeah, honestly, I don't like Netflix at all. But I will say this though about Netflix: they're the only one of these major streaming companies that doesn't seem to delist things. They'll cancel things before they reach their prime, but they generally don't like delist things like fucking Disney Plus or Max does. And I don't like hear about Netflix like making a movie and then just not releasing it. So they at least got that going for them. But at the same time, I feel like they, they're not in a position where they just can't have stuff up though and can't really, because they don't have like a back catalog of 50 to 100 years of material to work with like a lot of these other companies. So Netflix does have to like keep all their shit up, because otherwise they'll just have nothing ultimately. So there's that. But at the very least, compared to the competition, you can see Netflix original forever, I'd imagine, I think. At least I think. Maybe they've been delisting stuff and I just haven't paid attention. Okay, enough Texas Chainsaw Massacre Legacy, or whatever they're going to end up fucking calling it. I do want to briefly talk about Dune Part 2 before we move on to the Q&A. I watched Dune Part 2 last night. I really enjoyed it. I loved it so much more than the first movie, and I liked the first movie well enough, but it's so clear that the first movie is just set up for this second movie. This second movie is the real movie. Like, this is the movie with all the action, all the character development, just all the cool shit. It really opens up the universe of the original novel in ways the first movie couldn't do, because the first movie is just like, well, this is, the Atreides house, these are the Harkonnens, this is Arrakis, this is all this other bullshit. But, not a whole lot happens in that first movie. It just sets things up. It sets Paul out on his, hero's journey, but he doesn't really get to do much of anything in that first movie. This movie, he does a lot of shit, and it's pretty exciting. It's so much more exciting than the first movie. And I rewatched the first movie before watching the second movie, and it was just so much more rewarding doing that, but I don't know if I'll necessarily go back to that first one, just because it just feels like it's just so much slower. Like, it needs to build all that stuff up and earn it for the sequel, for this new movie that's out. But it's just, this second movie is just so much fucking better. Like, it's so much better. And I'm looking forward to the third movie, assuming they get to make the third movie, because it's also very clear. The second movie has a much more satisfying conclusion than the first movie, but it still sets up, what happens in the next book, Dune Messiah, so we'll see how that pans out. Now, let's move on to channel announcements. Yeah, let's move on to channel announcements, then the Q&A. Alright, channel announcement time. And I probably should also say, yeah, check out Dune 2 if you like the first movie. If you didn't like the first movie, still check out Dune 2, because this feels like the real Dune you were supposed to see. Maybe don't skip the first movie, though. I don't know. Alright, first channel announcements I want to say is I'm definitely making a Nightmare on Elm Street 5 review. I've been saying this for a year. Other things got in the way, but this video is finally shot, finally recorded. Got it out of the way. It's coming very soon. It's going to be finished next week, so keep an eye out for that. It's been long coming, but it's finally coming soon. And I'll also follow that up with a really big King Kong review, or review of the original movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, so it's going to be fun to, discuss everything I can that went into the making of the movie, and why I think it's so fucking awesome to this day. So I'm looking forward to sharing both of these videos with you guys. Also, just want to let you guys know, link in the description to join my Patreon if you're interested in supporting the channel. I'm going to have a bonus movie night stream of Donnie Darko tomorrow night with my Patreon supporters. So if you want to check that out and support the channel, just $5 a month gets you a movie night every week. This particular case, Donnie Darko. So link in the description, Sunday night. Consider supporting. Anyway, let's move on to the Q&A. Alrighty. Q&A time. Okay. Let me see if there's any super chats I need to get to real quick, just to get an icebreaker. Xavier the God asks, any new games you excited to play this year, Doc? Well, right now I'm playing the Final Fantasy Rebirth, the sequel to Final Fantasy Remake, which is basically just the second part of this remake trilogy of Final Fantasy games that are coming out, and I'm enjoying Rebirth. It's so much more of a breath of fresh air compared to Remake, just because Remake took place in these identical corridors, these identical subway tunnels and identical fucking sewer tunnels for the most part. They didn't really make Midgard that exciting. It felt like it was very limited by the PS4 hardware. So playing Rebirth is such a breath of fresh air just because it's like a big open world to explore. And, it's got some better pacing. Like, Remake had some horrible pacing, so I'm really enjoying it. I can't think of, off the top of my head, a game this year that I'm looking forward to, which might be a good thing, because, video games are very expensive, and I spent a lot of money on that fucking Suicide Squad game. Honestly, I really probably shouldn't have bought that Suicide Squad game, but, yeah. But, I guess I did that anyway. Count V has a super chat donation. Thank you, Count V. I appreciate the support. Okay. Let me see. Okay, Ultra King asks, any interest in Abigail? Movie made by Radio Silence guys. I haven't seen a trailer for Abigail, so I can't really tell you. But I am interested in checking it out. Hopefully I catch it. I didn't even hear about stop motion until it came out. I was like, is there any horror movies coming out in theaters right now? And then I saw that stop motion was out, and I was like, all right, let's check that out. And I'm glad I did. I had a good time watching it. Felt like I found a hidden gem. I got this very brief chance to see this weird movie in theaters. So that's always a special thing. So hopefully, I guess Abigail comes out in theaters, and I'll just catch it. Just catch it and make a vid on it. Nicole L18 has a super chat. Review of the Strangers movies sometime. I do need to eventually cover the Strangers movies. It's definitely a blind spot on this channel. Been meaning to for a while, but it just hasn't happened. Been trying to cover a lot more, things that people have been asking for, and I'll try to get that out soon, especially since another Strangers movie's coming out. I do need to catch up on that series. Maybe I'll just make a big video of just the first two movies, or maybe, maybe the new one comes out, I'll make just a big video on all three of the movies, but I guess we'll see. I guess Nicole L, her super chat says, a review of the Starngers. Okay, Nicole L. I guess I might have, I don't know. I read Strangers just fine anyway, even though it wasn't spelled right initially. So I was just like, Nicole, you should never correct your mistakes, because I usually don't catch them the first time, and then I catch them later, and I'm like, aha, I see that. I see that mistake now. Thank you. Sammyverse asks, are you excited for the Leigh Whannell Wolfman movie? I was not aware that Leigh Whannell was making the Wolfman, another Wolfman movie. I liked his Invisible Man quite a bit. It was fine, but it didn't feel like the original Invisible. Like, it didn't feel like the Universal take on Invisible Man. So, or just even the H.G. Wells novel itself. It felt like just a totally new idea that's just called Invisible Man. A totally new take on an Invisible Man story. So, I'm kind of iffy. Maybe there's more information about this Wolfman movie that I haven't seen. I didn't even know Leigh Whannell made it, so I need to look into that some more. Because, the Benicio del Toro Wolfman was pretty cool, because it felt like this is like the original Universal movie, but just taken on a much more grand scale, a much more massive scale, bigger budget, just, taken seriously too. So I'm a little afraid with Leigh Whannell he'll do something where it's I guess you could call it Wolfman, but it's not really anything like what the Wolfman is, but I guess we'll see. And thank you for joining my movie night tier on the channel memberships, Masala Monkey. Appreciate it. All right. Ricky asks with a super chat, how you feel about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League deleting negative reviews on Steam? Very unprofessional of WB Games. I heard about that, but I didn't know I didn't know game companies could delete their own reviews from Steam. I thought, like, I don't know, I thought Steam had more credibility than that, where, yeah, you can't delete these negative reviews. But then again, I saw recently that some companies were listing their games as Helldivers 2 to try to trick people into buying their game that is definitely not Helldivers 2 on Steam. Apparently Steam just, I guess, doesn't have anything to prevent you from rigging the system to your benefit, I guess. If that's the case, like, feels like Steam needs to really work things out. But then again, Valve needs to work things out in general, because they've just become, like, really, like, you know, they made some of the greatest games ever, but now they just kind of just don't give a fuck anymore. They're just like, you know, we make money. Gamers have some goodwill towards us because we give them some good deals on games during sales, and, you know, the Steam Deck's pretty cool, right? You know, we still put out some high-quality things, but, you know, we don't make games anymore. And I guess we just don't really care if people try to rig our system to their favor. Like, I don't know. But I you know, but then again, I could believe the Suicide Squad game having positive reviews, mostly on Steam, just because it felt like it's one of those situations where the only kinds of people who would buy that game are the kind of people who already have decided, I like this game, I'm gonna buy it. Like, I already know I like this game, you know. I'm not gonna let anybody affect my opinion. But yeah, that game wasn't very good. But it had some fun stuff, you know, overall. I don't know. Maybe they could fix it. We'll see. Alright, let me see. Young Hollywood asks, you still play Friday the 13th? I don't. I tried to do a stream of it well, not necessarily last Friday. Friday the 13th last year. And a Friday the 13th last year. Maybe they had multiple Friday the 13th, but I tried to stream it just to see if, you know, there's still players playing it, but I just couldn't really find a game for that stream, and the game kept crashing, so it just feels like the game is abandoned, and it's not really worth trying to play it online, at least. It does have, you know, AI-controlled players you can play against, which at least is more than the fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre game has, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I want to play that Friday the 13th game some more, or a new Friday the 13th game, but it's just not in the cards. Like, I don't know, like, it's just like, they don't even have servers anymore, so it's just not worth, I don't know, it's just not worth trying. I would like to, because I do miss playing that game, but it's just not, I don't know, it's just not worth the grief, I guess, you know? It's not worth the waiting around, too, to find a match. I know there's, you know, if you could find some people who regularly play it, and you could do that, but I don't like to have to coordinate that. I'm just a guy, like, because I don't play online games in general, so I'm just a guy who, when I do play something online, I just want to jump into it, just with some strangers, just to play it. I don't want to have to be like, hey, you ready to go? You want to play it this time? You guys want to all play? Like, I don't want to go, because I'm more of a single-player guy anyway, so it just feels like, I don't know, it's just not for me, I guess. Just not for me. Ah, well. And I do agree with, let me see, I do agree with, is that JD or yeah, JB. I do agree with JB. The Friday the 13th game was fun, but jank. You know, it was very jank, but it was fun. It felt like it captured the experience of being in a Friday the 13th movie pretty well. Well, not necessarily authentically. I mean, I've never watched a Friday the 13th movie where Jason just, you know, strikes a guy with an axe, like, just in a crowded campfire, and then everybody scatters. That's never happened in any of the movies, and that's, like, how every match starts. So it's not really authentic, necessarily, but, you know, it's still, you know, had this feel where I was, like, in a Friday the 13th movie. And it's such a shame that, you know, it just wasn't given the love and attention it deserved. It needed more time, but oh well. Okay, let me see here. Joseph has a super chat. Thank you, Joseph, so much. Doc, be back down in September. You missed my Creeper Scream team shirt. Anyhow, Netflix show, Black Summer. Thoughts? Will they make another season? I was talking about Netflix earlier, and I don't have an active Netflix subscription right now. I don't know, like, what was the last thing that actually got me to subscribe to Netflix? Let me try to even think about that. because I'm not somebody who likes to use Netflix. Like, sometimes they'll get, like, a thing where it's like, okay, I guess I gotta check that out. But, like, maybe it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that came out. That's the last time I can recall getting a Netflix subscription. And that wasn't really worth, like, subscribing for either. So maybe it was that. Maybe it was, I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't just that. Because I can't think of it. I think maybe it was just that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That was the last time, like that. And then there was also, before that, there was the Scream, the Fear Street trilogy, which felt like a Scream movie, I guess. The Fear Street trilogy, and I subscribed for that. But generally, I don't subscribe to Netflix all that much, actually, now that I think about it. Then again, I have such a backlog of physical media at this point. I'm just, like, not somebody who even necessarily desires getting, like, an expensive streaming subscription on top of that if I can avoid it, just because I have so many things I need to, like, catch up on in my backlog of owned movies, so it's just, But I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe pick up a random streaming service like Netflix, check out Black Summer. I wish I could say more about that in particular. TJ Frizzy has a super chat, thank you. Have you checked out the animated Has Been Hotel? I'm not a big musical fan, but it's a pretty good R-rated horror-type animated series. I've definitely heard about it. It's definitely a thing that you can't avoid hearing and seeing all over the internet. But I haven't really seen any of it. Maybe I'll check it out, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I'll have to think about that. But I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be something like My Little Pony or something like, I don't know, like something where it's like, this maybe is not for me, or like Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's like, this appeals to some people, but it's not necessarily for me. But okay. Michael Diaz asks, Doc, do you like to watch movies on Tubi? I appreciate that Tubi has, like, it's just totally free, but I don't watch Tubi a lot just because I don't really like commercials that much. I don't do it a lot unless they got something that I really want to watch. I probably should browse it some more just because there's probably a lot of good material for videos too. But, I definitely should check it out more. That and Amazon Prime. I maybe feel like I need to have... I've been meaning to have some kind of video series, and I know a lot of YouTube channels do something like this, but just a video series where I just cover maybe 3 movies of a similar theme that I wouldn't necessarily dedicate giant videos to, but I can just, talk about these similarly themed movies for, maybe 5 minutes a piece that might be weird or interesting or bad or whatever, and just tie them together with, a video store motif or something. Just because I know video store thing is done a lot by other channels, but I could maybe come up with a unique take on it, maybe. I don't know. Just my unique spin on it. But I guess we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna cut to a Patreon question now, and then I'll get back to you guys live.
Lauren Minder asks, I'd love to know your thoughts on the Until Dawn movie adaptation, and if you have any quarrels about video game adaptations, now that Hollywood has run out of ideas for films and is now turning to the video game realm. I can't say I'm too familiar with the production of an Until Dawn movie, but turning Until Dawn into a movie feels kinda stupid, seeing as how the game is already a movie with the added benefit of interactivity. I don't know what the appeal of an Until Dawn movie could possibly be. The game doesn't have a great story to bring to the screen. The appeal of the game was getting to enter a horror movie scenario and shape the story. It feels like turning a choose-your-own-adventure book into a linear movie. I just don't see the point beyond trying to make money, which is all that matters, I suppose. It's show business after all, so Hollywood is looking for projects that they hope will make money, which is why we're starting to see more video game adaptations in film and TV. With how sophisticated video games are now, I don't see a lot of point to some video game adaptations when games can tell stories at the level of a big budget film now, but I guess it comes down to fans still watching, non-gamers being able to be involved, and a show or movie being a good ad for the games. The Last of Us show, for instance, had to have boosted the sales of the recent PS5 reissues of the games.
Yeah, alright, let's get some more questions from you guys live. Gary Kent says, I don't use Tubi, but I like X-Hamster. There's some good content on X-Hamster for sure. There's lots of great, adult-oriented films that, maybe you could watch with the family, just, okay, alright. But, okay, well, let me see. I saw... Michael Diaz says, I actually saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie thanks to Tubi. So that's a cool thing about Tubi is the fact that, it is free. It is like, a streaming service that is like TV. Like, anybody can access it, or at least it's much more easily accessed. All you need is like a internet provider to access Tubi. So there's that. So a lot more people can see stuff like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just much more widely available. So that's definitely a cool thing about Tubi. But, yeah, I guess maybe I should be using it for the sake of that. Like, looking for some more hidden gems that I won't have to, like, subscribe to a service for, or rent, or buy. I could just, like, check out this random movie that's just available, And also, the cool thing about Tubi is it is kind of like TV, but unlike TV, they don't, like, censor things. Like, the same thing with, like, Freevee. Like, they won't censor the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, I think the first time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre maybe was on TV, and they might have censored some things. It's been a while since that first time. Maybe, or maybe they didn't censor it, but there's a good chance they maybe did. But that won't happen on something like Tubi, something streaming. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about the FCC, like, breathing down on your neck with Tubi. That's pretty, that's pretty cool. Joseph Finley has another super chat. Dead by Daylight. They've added more killers. Man, they keep adding those killers. And I don't know. I'm kind of surprised they're still making the first Dead by Daylight. I would have thought they would have moved on to, like, a new game by now. Like, a new game that can, like, really take advantage, like, basically port over everything from the first game, but make it something a little bit more. I guess maybe that's just what they've been doing through updates, I suppose. But yeah, they've been, like, supporting that game for over a decade now. It's pretty impressive. I tried to play that game a few times, and I just never quite got it. Maybe I need to give it another shot. Just, I don't know. I went into playing that game blind for streams, and that's definitely not the best opportunity. You could definitely tell a difference between me, like, playing a game in advance and me playing a game blind, because, I'm not paying as much attention when I'm streaming, just for the sake of you guys are, along for the ride when I'm streaming anything, so I'm not paying as much attention as I should be. So I'm missing some stuff game mechanic-wise during a stream if I haven't played the game before. So, maybe I need to give that game another shot. Just practice it, figure it out some more, try to get more into it, but, I guess, I don't know, I just had some bad experiences, like, I guess, streaming it, but maybe it's definitely on me, probably. It's definitely on me. Give it another shot. Probably. Ricky has a super chat. Thank you, Ricky. A Halloween TV show is said to be in the making. Would you like it to do the Myers and Strodes again, or make it an anthology thing, like with Halloween 3? Now, I did hear about that. I maybe should have thank you for reminding me about that, because, yeah, that definitely should have been another thing I covered in the main news stories. Because, yeah, A24 apparently is trying to purchase the rights to Halloween. I don't know if they've successfully done that, or if that was purely a rumor. I think Universal and Blumhouse were only contracted for 3 movies when they acquired the rights, and then they reverted back to the Accords, as they always do, because the Akkads own Halloween. So I guess Malik Akkad was like, all right, let's find a new bidder for the Halloween franchise. Let's see if anybody wants it. I guess maybe specifically for a TV show. I think maybe the TV rights might even be like a different situation from the movie rights. Maybe the TV rights have never even been optioned at all at any point by the Akkads, so maybe that's a big difference there. But as far as a Halloween TV show, I thought it would be cool to like reimagine the storyline and focus more on Dr. Loomis and have it be more from Loomis's perspective and deal with this kind of flawed character who's trying to find this escaped killer at all odds, trying to track Michael Myers down, maybe all across Illinois, maybe make it, I don't know. There's lots of different options, but I thought Dr. Loomis would be a compelling character just because I feel like, after Donald Pleasance, we didn't, even with Donald Pleasance, they kind of did Dr. Loomis dirty in some of the later sequels where, especially in Halloween 5, where he's he's kind of, he's got questionable ethics in the original Halloween and especially Halloween 2, but he becomes pretty monstrous in Halloween 5. And, I would like to take it back to, he's got questionable methods in how he handles trying to stop Michael Myers or similar figures similar to Michael Myers, but he's not going to necessarily put, little kids in danger. Or at least maybe you could address that in interesting ways. Then again, it's one of those things where if you do make it from his perspective, it would be really hard to make that work for a character where you're rooting for this guy who's willing to do that kind of shit. Maybe it would be difficult to approach it that way. I guess you would need to strike a delicate balance of how much of a dick do we want to make Dr. Loomis? And, it would be cool to see, an actor of Donald Pleasance's caliber who... Because, Donald Pleasance was a great actor, but he was also willing to ham it up and be campy and, not take the material too seriously, go over the top when he needed to be over the top. So it'd be cool to, see a new actor come along. I always thought it would be cool to, it would be impossible to do, but I always thought it'd be cool to see, Liam Neeson play Dr. Loomis. I don't know. Some really cool award-winning actor play Dr. Loomis. That would never happen, of course, but I don't know. Want a Dr. Loomis show, definitely. I don't want to see Laurie Strode ever again, just because I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode, and I feel like we've got plenty of conclusions to her character's story. I don't want to see another person play the character either. I want to just focus on Michael Myers, more on Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis, because that always felt really juicy, but we never got to explore it that much in the Halloween series. So that would definitely be what I want to do with that Halloween. Professor Fierce says Paul Giamatti Dr. Loomis. That would be interesting. Maybe, I don't know. I would be a little hesitant. But he's a great actor, but I don't know if he'd necessarily be a good fit. But James Remington says Tom Hanks is Dr. Loomis. Yeah, that would never happen. So I think we need to be, I guess, be realistic. I was already being unrealistic with fucking Liam Neeson. So maybe we need to kind of drop our expectations for a Dr. Loomis. But yeah, definitely a Dr. Loomis focused show. That would be interesting for me. But there is the alternative route to continuing Halloween, though. You could basically make, an anthology. I thought it would be cool to make basically, on a streaming service, an annual Halloween movie that's not necessarily tied to any continuity, where every year you get basically an anthology film where you have basically one Michael Myers story that's maybe a half hour long, 45 minutes long, and then basically a couple stories that feel like John Carpenter style Halloween stories but don't have any ties to Michael Myers at all necessarily. Maybe they take place in the same world or something, but it's just basically tell a few Halloween-themed stories where you have like a John Carpenter-style score, or it feels like a Halloween movie overall, but you only have a little bit of Michael Myers in it compared to like a full-on Halloween movie. That could maybe work. Or you could do like, you know, an annual limited series with Halloween, like, you know, just maybe like just 4 episodes a year, where it's just, you basically get maybe 1 or 2 movies worth of Halloween a year and tell different kinds of stories with it. There's different approaches with streaming that you could do with Halloween. I'd be interested in that. That feels like it would be a nice way forward that would separate it from the original movie series. Because, you know, they're definitely going to make more Halloween stuff. Definitely. Definitely. Stop as a super chat. Let me, like, some of you guys' names are getting, like, cut. Well, okay, no, wait. I think I just got to expand this to. Okay, so Stop Master Studios as a super chat. Have you considered playing Puppet Master? With playing, it feels like you're implying there's a Puppet Master video game, and I haven't heard about that. If they did make a Puppet Master video game, definitely got to stream that. But if you're talking about reviewing the Puppet Master movies, I've been long meaning to review those Puppet Master movies, just haven't gotten around to it. Need to at least cover one of them this year. I want to try to make sure I cover some more bases this year with the channel. Try to get more variety. Especially, you know, I'm finally finishing, like, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, the one Freddy movie I never covered, so, you know, definitely gotta move on into some of these other horror franchises for sure, especially something like Puppet Master. Also, Phantasm. Definitely need to cover Phantasm as well. And if you have just joined this stream and you're wondering why you can't comment, it's because it's in subscribers only mode, so just subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and then wait 5 minutes, and then you'll be able to comment. I can see everybody else's comments, but it's basically the reason why I'm in subscribers only mode during these streams is because YouTube has no auto moderation for bots, so bots can join these streams and essentially just derail them with, like, links to adult sites or other bullshit, because YouTube does not care about any of this shit. Like, they don't care. They could easily fix this stuff. I also have another issue with YouTube, like, in the comment section, there'll be, like, a random bot that'll be, like, say it's me, Dr. Wolfula, and they'll be like, hey, you just won a PS5. Text your information to this, you know, phone number or whatever, and, like, for whatever reason, YouTube just has no auto moderation to prevent that. I put in so many, like, different keywords to try to prevent that, but that shit just keeps getting through. I fucking hate it. It's so annoying. Oh, wait, so Stop Master Studios says it's a Puppet Master game. October Games made it. It's free on Steam. Okay, alright. Definitely gotta check that out then. Especially since it's free. I did not hear about a Puppet Master game at all. Ugh. Sailor Mercury says, yeah, those Telegram bots. I hate those fucking things. I hate it. Like, YouTube just doesn't do anything about it. It's just, ugh. Black Moon asks, Doc, when are you gonna do Final Destination? Now, that's definitely something I need to get to very soon. I was supposed to cover it, like, the whole series last year, but other stuff got in the way. It's definitely a series that is on my radar. It'll definitely help if a new Final Destination actually comes out. That series has been, like, in limbo for a while. Then again, it's owned by Warner Brothers, so it feels like their only horror movies now are just, it's always just like, here's something having to do with the Warren family, like the Conjuring universe, that bullshit. Like, so I feel like they're just not interested in any of their, they're not interested in, like, a Final Destination or a new Freddy Krueger flick at all. They're not interested in any of that, which is a shame, I'm just not really interested in, like, the Conjuring universe. I do know that, that series has a following, but, I feel like it's just kind of sad when Warner Brothers seems to be, it seems like they're even maybe not going to release the Salem's Lot movie they made. They made a new Salem's Lot. Stephen King has seen it, and he said it's good. He said it's a good movie. Of course he'll say it's a good movie. But Someone's mad that I didn't give them the PS5 they promised. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was Robot Me. It wasn't me, though. It wasn't me. I definitely would not give you a PS5. But yeah, it's just kind of sad that Warner Brothers is just sort of sitting on so many movies. They have that Coyote versus Acme movie that they made that's just not going to come out, apparently. They made a Scoob 2 that's a holiday film that's also just not going to be released. It's just a shame, you know? It's just a real shame that, Warner Brothers just kind of, they just don't really know what they're doing. And it feels like they haven't known what they've been doing for the last, 10, 15 years. It's a shame, because they were, it felt like they were on top of the world as far as movie output for a while, and then it just kind of, just a little too many corporate crossovers happened, and then they just got some really shitty executives in charge that just fucking fumbled the bag. It's such a shame. Oh well. Hopefully that new Salem's Lot movie comes out close to October. Hopefully they've just been sitting on it for all right, we want to wait until the right time. Wait until the right time. I guess we'll see. Xavier the God has a super chat. Doc, will you review the Insidious movies? Well, the thing is, I don't... Okay, so Insidious, I think I saw the first Insidious. These movies are so hard to, distinguish from each other, because I was thinking, did I see Insidious? I did see Insidious. I was like, is that Sinister, or is that The Conjuring? Some of these movies really blend together. But, maybe I'll do Insidious. Okay, I was like, is it Sinister? Because I did do both Sinister movies. Been also meaning to cover the Paranormal Activity movies just to make fun of. Supposed to do that last year too, but so many things got in the way. Oh well. Hopefully, finally, I'll cover some of these. Because I noticed, that was the big trend the last decade. It became like a mixture of found footage, and then it became kind of like pseudo true story movies, or it's like, this haunting is based on a true story. I saw this one movie, a trailer for this movie before Dune 2, that had, I think it was Henry Cavill. It was like a World War II movie. It was like a Guy Ritchie movie. It was based on a true story, but it looked like an Indiana Jones movie. It looked like just a huge stretch to say it was based on a true story. Feels like you can't really, I don't know. Oh well. All right, let's cut to another pre-recorded question, and then I'll get back to you guys.
The Sliced Bread asks, I was just wondering if you would ever review Nika horror action figures, and if you would ever make your own Dr. Wolfula and Goulash figures on your own store. I've thought about making videos about action figures and other collectibles, but I don't really know what I'd talk about with that kind of thing that would sustain a video, let alone multiple videos. I have gotten offers in the past to make Dr. Wolfula toys, but they didn't really go anywhere. One company gave me some concept art of a figure, and another company interviewed me about doing a plush crowdfunding campaign, but I was just kinda iffy about it all because they were untested companies, and I didn't want to risk fans spending money on something that may not materialize, and me having to answer for it. It's just not a great position to end up being in. Farley McFarley asks, curious as to your take on Hell House LLC, Lake Mungo, and Skinamarink. I haven't seen any of these films yet, but I am interested in checking them out and making videos about them, especially Lake Mungo. I've heard some interesting things about that film. Paul Macaluso asked, I assume when you beat Goulash over the head with books, you do it until you get tired. So do you prefer heavier books and fewer hits, or lighter books for more hits? I just like to push an entire bookcase on top of Goulash and then make him put the books back onto the shelf so I can push the bookcase over him again. It saves me a lot of energy. It's also really funny.
Thanks, pre-recorded me. I almost forgot to unmute my microphone. Thanks, pre-recorded me. Black Moon asks, Doc, do you think you would do a Power Rangers episode per episode like with Scooby-Doo? That's something I would fucking love to do, but it's just, it's so much further outside the scope of what the channel is. It'd be hard to, fit that in, and I don't know, make it work for the channel. It could work, but there's just so many Power Rangers episodes. It'd just be like such a futile effort to even try. Like I thought I could really pump out some of the other TV show episode by episode things, but it just became much more of a daunting effort than I thought. It'd be something I'd love to do. It's just there's just be so much involved to actually make it work. But I would love to do it, though. That's for sure. I would love to do it. My Video Maker 100 has a super chat, thank you. Hey Doc, have you seen R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour? Will you ever discuss it in the future? You know, I watched a few different R.L. Stine shows. I don't... Well, no, okay, Haunting Hour was like the direct-to-video movies, though. So I did see that, but I don't remember it very clearly. No, I had like that one girl who was in like a lot of Disney Channel shows. She was also in like the Spy Kids movies. But I don't remember it that clearly. We were supposed to, Goulash and I were supposed to review the new Goosebumps Disney Plus show. But we ended up just fucking forgetting about it. So we do need to cover that. Haunting Hour might be covered more on the Gulag channel, and speaking of which, we do also need to make some more Gulag channel videos too. There's just so many fucking things. Like, that's the cool thing about that's both the gift and the curse of this channel. Is there's just so many, like, there's never gonna be like a point where I'm like just out of things to do on this channel, but that's also like the intimidating thing. Like, it'll just never be finished. There's just so many things I need to cover. Like, there's just so many, like, there's just not enough time in the day to do it all. It's just, I wish I had multiple docs to help me with all this shit. It's just, I wish. Oh, man, I want to live in that world. I just want to have a bunch. I want it to be like Cult of Chucky, where there's just a bunch of me. Like, I could just do some bullshit spell to transfer my body to, transfer my soul to, like, a whole bunch of different bodies. Like, that'd be great. If only. Damn. It'd be so much better than how it is now, where it's just fucking me, and I can only do one thing at a time. It sucks. Fucking sucks. Fucking really sucks. Sailor Mercury says Alexa Vega. No, it was, it was the blonde-haired girl that was in Spy Kids, too. She was like the evil well, not the evil, well, I guess the rival equivalent to Junie in Island of Lost Souls and Spy Kids 3D. But, alright. Okay, so Ricky has a super chat. What are top 3 or 5 or even 10 movies, wow, that's a lot, of any media you won't review due to copyright issues or couldn't enjoy the thing yourself and stopped watching? Okay, let me try. Okay, or any media you won't review. Okay, well, I don't know. I've gotten around copyright pretty well in more recent years, so there isn't anything where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to cover that due to copyright. It used to be that way, but now I'm much more smart about how I edit my videos, where I rarely have any copyright problems at all. The only time I really have copyright problems is, you know, streaming at the Die-In Theater, which is why it's moved to Twitch, and there'll be another Die-In Theater stream on Twitch soon, just because, YouTube just does not verify if, like, you can basically claim you own any public domain movie, because the thing about public domain is that there's not, like, a list of public domain movies, technically. There isn't, like, some legal list that's, kept track of on the internet by, or lawyers, by companies, or, like, nobody's enforcing public domain. So you can easily claim you own a movie, and, YouTube won't challenge that, especially if you're the first one to come along and say, yeah, I own Manos the Hands of Fate. My Manos the Hands of Fate Die-In Theater stream got taken down. That movie is public domain, but it's just down now. Like, even that, it sucks. Like, it sucks. So, like, you can't get away with posting a whole movie, even if it's public domain on YouTube. Yeah, you could. There's some people who do that just fine, but it's you know, it can you can have some problems there. So I guess there's that. But as far as movies I wouldn't cover, I guess I don't know. I guess I wouldn't cover like the Twilight movies. So there's like Twilight, because it's like, I guess, horror. Like, you know, it's got like vampires and werewolves in it, but they're like they all want to fuck like a, you know, a really mediocre teenage girl. So I don't know if I'd ever cover those. I guess I wouldn't cover like I guess I wouldn't. I mean, there was like a movie. I got like, you know, an indie filmmaker came forward and requested that I review his movie, and it was based on a true story, and it was like a found footage thing about this couple of guys who basically kidnap a couple or something. They kidnap a couple and they like rape the wife, and it's just like a whole movie about them raping this wife, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna review that. Like, I'm not gonna make a video. Like, there's no way I can like make a video talking about that, because like the concern is like making it like it's just like difficult to do that. Like, you know, to figure out like how to show things from the movie like on YouTube. Like, you know, it's just like it's not gonna happen. So I guess maybe movies with like lots of stuff like that I definitely wouldn't cover on the channel. Just because there'd be way too much shit. Like, I mean, but otherwise, I mean, I definitely don't have issues with like movies that have like questionable content in them covering it in general. But it's just like when the movie's like something that's just so hard to get away with depicting on YouTube. Like, I made a video on Cannibal Holocaust, and I still, you know, censored some things, but I still made a Cannibal Holocaust video. I still made a Human Centipede video. It's just when movies like are just really got the heavy stuff in them, just to the point where it's just hard to really, you know, be jokey and goofy. You know, it's just when it becomes a little bit of a challenge, I guess. All right. UJ Evans asks, with Universal having plans to make a whole park section about the classic monsters, would you want to see them revive their Black Lagoon musical attraction? Okay, well, I knew they had the Beetlejuice show, and I saw the Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, and I saw a couple different incarnations of that over the years, because I live near Universal Studios, Florida. I do live there, and I do see the construction they do on Epic Universe, their new theme park, which is in a very awkward location. But I have seen, like, you know, I've seen them building the Frankenstein castle. I've seen that stuff. That looks really cool. I think they're gonna have like a few different Universal Monsters attractions, which is cool that they're like finally, you know, honoring their you know, their classic monster legacy in some form. Because before, of course, they had the Universal Monsters Cafe, and they have like a makeup show, but that never felt like the same. I guess the Brendan Fraser Mummy ride also maybe kind of counts, sorta, you know, but it's not quite the same as like making rides. You know, they'll have like Universal will have their Halloween Horror Nights attractions too, but you know, it's just not the same. It's not the same as like a dedicated area for Universal Monsters, and it looks like they're gonna finally have it. I'm looking forward to that. As far as like bringing back like a specific thing, I do hope they are gonna bring back like a revamped version of the Monsters Cafe, like something that's just, you know, basically take all the artifacts from the Monster Cafe and put it into a new restaurant. That'd be really nice, because I do miss seeing all those like rare props and artifacts they had in the Monsters Cafe. It was really cool, but then they got rid of it for the Minions Cafe. That really hurt. I know a lot of people, like, you know, because I complained about them taking out the Universal Monsters Cafe, and people were like, they're gonna make a new Universal Monsters area in Epic Universe. Who cares if they take out this restaurant? But it's still like a thing that's existed for like 20 years, and you know, it was cool to see all that shit there. Like, it's, you know, hopefully all that stuff gets to be displayed again somewhere else in the new park, hopefully. It's just, you know, it sucks when you see something like that just gone, and them basically turning the whole opening area of Universal Studios into a Minions dedicated area. Like, that sucks. Like, I don't need to see all all the Minions shit. Like, it's, you know, they already had a ride. Like, I just don't see the appeal of Minions, but, you know. Whatever, I guess that's just where the direction we're going in. Fucking Minions, I guess. But, you know, I guess if they make a new Creature from the Black Lagoon musical, I guess that'd be nice. I would like to see a new Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. They've been trying to do that for years, but it just hasn't happened. Guillermo del Toro was supposed to make one, but I guess maybe Universal didn't agree with his direction, so he just turned it into The Shape of Water, which I guess is like a steamy romance fan fiction version of Creature from the Black Lagoon. They made him, you know, they also made the, you know, the creature in Shape of Water also looks a lot like Abe Sapien, so I guess it's got a bit of the Hellboy fan fiction aspect as well. Fucking Minions, though. Fucking Minions. I feel like maybe, though, at this point, like, I've been around long enough where some of you guys watching these videos and streams, you grew up with the Minions, like, and now you're watching my videos, and you're like, I don't like it when he says the Minions are bad. That's always been, like, the things that the things for kids that really annoyed me, like, a decade ago are now just, like, so prevalent now, because it's just been the stuff the previous, like, I guess, you know, every generation hates stuff about the new generation, though. It's just like, oh, man, I gotta fucking see Minions all the time now. They're here to stay. It's fucking great. Ugh. But I will say, TC says the Mummy Ride rules. Rode it last week. Yeah, the Mummy Ride is fucking awesome. I've ridden two, I think there's 3 Mummy Rides. There's, you know, one in California, one in Florida, one in Japan. I haven't, of course, ridden the one in Japan, but I rode both the California and Orlando one, and they felt very different. I feel like the Orlando one is a lot better, but I don't know. It's hard to really compare them without, like, looking at them directly, just because they're, like, they're just fucking separated by thousands of miles. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Florida one is much better, just because I think they have much more space. I think they had more pyrotechnics and shit too. That was pretty cool. What are you gonna do, though? Joseph Finley has a super chat. Doc, what kind of moolah would it take to create a Frankenstein flick the way you want? Well, I mean, it wouldn't really. I mean, if Universal asked me to, like, work on a Frankenstein movie, I'd ask for very little money, because, I mean, that would be a great opportunity. I'd even maybe say, yeah, I'll just do it for free, just, like, maybe give me somewhere to live. Yeah, so it wouldn't require any money to get me on board. I don't really, I would want it to be, it wouldn't need to be, like, something that's in the, you know, it wouldn't need to be like something that's a superhero movie budget, but I would like it to be something that's more expensive than, like, a Blumhouse movie typically is. Like, you know, Blumhouse movies are usually like Night Swim. Night Swim apparently was $20 million. I don't know what they spent the money on. They shot it, like, in this swimming pool for the most part. Most of the scenes are just actors swimming around, so I don't know what the money was spent on. So I don't know if I feel like it would have to be significantly more expensive than Night Swim, so maybe like maybe just the $50 million range, but I want it to be like something big, something that's, like, you know, just grand in scope, where I want it, you know, it's just like, I want you to see these, like, massive sets. Like, I want it to be like the classic way things were, where they built, like, these giant sets for real. I want it to be like, you know, just something where you don't really see, something you don't really see as much anymore, especially with horror movies. But I feel like, I guess if you do something like that, it wouldn't be very likely that would make money, but I don't know, it'd be cool to see, like, a really big budget Frankenstein movie, you know, especially something that's, like, you know, riffing on the original James Whale material, like the original James Whale take, because I feel like we don't really, we haven't really seen anything like that in a very long time. Maybe we haven't even seen it since, like, I guess maybe, I guess maybe Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula had a bit of that spark to it, where it was like these lavishly designed sets. But you don't see it very often anymore. You don't see like that level of like just dedication to, like, I just miss like the awesome sets, the awesome costume design. You don't see it as much these days. Like, I don't know. Just lots of green screens, I suppose. Altair asks for me to give him a shout out. I guess, okay. It's okay. I probably shouldn't have done that. But, hey, Altair, how you doing? Altair 4797. Okay. JB's Spooky Review asks, what goes into your writing process? Okay, now that's a question I really have quite a bit to talk about. Actually, I think I do talk about that a bit in the Patreon questions, but I'll answer it here a bit more in detail. But essentially, you know, it used to be I'd take a lot of notes from my videos, but then I found that when I take notes, I would basically treat my notes as like a checklist of things I have to cover in the script. So now I don't do that as much. Now I just pretty much watch the movie and read as much behind-the-scenes material as I can so I can be as familiar with the movie as possible, with every aspect of a movie. And then I basically just, like, you know, write a script as I go along, like, with the movie as a reference, because I always also have the movie on hand. Like, I scrub through the movie, like, okay, let me make sure I get all these details correctly, refresh my memory after watching it. So, you know, I used to be much more of a slave to notes, but now not as much, just because I'd always find myself, like, I'd have, like, a note where I'd be like, oh, I have to talk about the movie's musical score here. And I'm not somebody who knows a lot about music, so I'd feel like, okay, I have to talk about the musical score, but then I was just like, you know, it's like a thing I have to talk about, I guess, but it's just like I don't have a lot to say because I don't understand music. I try to, like, when I can, discuss something like music or sound design, but it's just not something I'm much more focused on, when I review a movie, much more focused on stuff like the visuals, especially the designs of things, and also the story itself and the characters. So I guess I just kind of stopped, you know, worrying about, like, the stuff I'm just not as interested in or not as aware of, I suppose. Chrissy Rengert says, no, repeating questions is annoying and repetitive. Well, the question was slightly different, so it's not going to be quite the same thing. Sammyverse asks, is Universal Horror Month going to come back this year? Well, Chrissy Ringer also says, Dracula has the most riz. I do agree with you, but Universal Horror Month is going to, well, I don't want to, because I was planning to have Dejuary come back this year too, but then some things came up, and I ended up just making that Old Myers Place review and audiobook instead. And then I got sick last month too, so I was planning to bring back Dejuary. It just ended up not happening, but I'm planning to bring back Universal Horror Month this year too, but I'm just gonna wait and see. I don't want to, like, say for sure, because you never really know. Like, bringing it back last year, it was just the perfect timing, where I had a lot of time to, like, plan ahead. Hopefully it's the same case this year, but we'll see. I'm definitely wanting to. I just gotta hope that things work out. All right, gonna cut to another round of Patreon questions. Here we go.
Paul Macaluso asked, hi, Doc. The theater wouldn't give me my money back when I saw Founders Day. Will you do a review or review on it so I can at least feel I got my money's worth? I considered covering Founders Day when it was still in theaters, but when I finally had the free time to make a video about it, the movie was no longer in theaters. Oh well, I guess I missed out. Chris Risnell asked, hi, Doc. Do you think you'll cover the YA Freddy and Jason novels as well? Also, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Jurassic Park survival horror game? I would like to cover the Freddy and Jason YA novels after I eventually cover Halloween the Madhouse, but admittedly the barrier between me making more book videos is it involves a lot more work than reviewing a movie. I have to try to piece some visuals together for a book review, and it takes some work. I could admittedly just make audiobooks and just not review the books, but the review part is the fun part for me. It just takes a lot of time and work to do, so we'll see how things go. As for Jurassic Park Survival, I'm looking forward to it just because I love the Jurassic Park series, and I also appreciate the fact that it's a throwback to the original movie and not another Jurassic World tie-in. I really do hope this game draws some inspiration from the Peter Jackson 2005 King Kong game. I really enjoyed that game, and I played that recently, and it's a flawed game, but it has some interesting survival mechanics that I think could work pretty well for a Jurassic Park video game, too.
Thank you, pre-recorded me. And speaking of that King Kong game, the Peter Jackson King Kong, I am planning to stream that King Kong game on my Twitch channel soon, so make sure to subscribe to my Twitch channel if you want to check that out. It's a very short game, too. I could maybe finish that game in one session, too. Well, I guess we'll see. But I've been meaning to cover that in some form, especially since I'm working on a review of the original King Kong. So keep an eye out for that. But LT Brains is a super chat, thank you. Have you seen Pearl or X? I love both and honestly find them to be more reminiscent of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre than most of the recent films. I did see both of those movies and I really enjoyed them. I especially enjoyed Pearl. X was fine. X was much more Texas Chainsaw Massacre-like, but Pearl was just better as just an original horror movie about just this fucked up young woman who, you know, basically just goes on this killing spree. I really enjoyed Pearl. I'd recommend watching Pearl first, and if you like that, check out X. Honestly, I did watch Pearl first anyway, because it's a prequel anyway. So I watched that, and, you know, it was cool to watch X afterwards, because X came out first. And then Pearl was like, here's this bonus movie we made, so check that out, too. It came out the same year. So, yeah, and you know, I like Pearl, so I checked out X, but X definitely felt the most like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that I've seen. Like, there's another movie that has, like, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel that's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre-like on the surface, but it felt like, had that same sense of gritty reality, and that movie's, Green Room. So, if you haven't seen, I believe that was one of Anton Yelchin's final films, one of his final films. That one was really fucking great, and it's just all about, you know, a punk rocker group just trapped in a green room the whole movie while these fucking skinheads try to kill them that find out about their, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. They, like, find out about their meth lab, or they like, kill somebody accidentally. Like, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I really enjoyed it. Probably should make a video on it sometime soon and rewatch it, because that movie was fucking cool. That movie was fucking cool as hell. Felt like a spiritual sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Emperor Caleb Teen has a super chat. Have you seen the Horror of the Bog Hogs starring Ethan Ralph? I've never even heard of that. I do love any movie that has, like, a hog, something involving a hog in some way. I think there's, like, actually a horror movie called Hog, or maybe a horror movie called Pig. Like, there was like a horror movie about, like, a giant, maybe I'm thinking of Hogzilla, maybe. They've made, like, lots of pig-related horror movies over the years, though. So I definitely need to catch up on Bog Hog, since it seems like I haven't seen it. That's for sure. And Joseph Finlay has another super chat. On that Frankenstein movie idea, do we cast Sydney Sweeney for the acting ability? Well, I mean, I guess you could, you start with Frankenstein monster. You can go to Bride of Frankenstein, and you can have Sydney Sweeney play the Bride of Frankenstein. I feel like that would work out well. You could have some taste, like, just completely unrelated. You could have some tasteful nudity in a new Bride of Frankenstein movie with Sydney Sweeney. Be kind of wild to see, like, some zombie lady titties. You know, I think that'd be pretty cool. Vicente says Pig Hunt. Okay, that might be Pig Hunt. I know there's Hogzilla, there's Pig Hunt. There's some, like, you know, there's some pig horror movies out there, though. There's lots of pig horror movies. Aaron Kelly says, and Patrick Stewart plays the leader from what I recall in Green Room. Yes. Patrick Stewart really plays against type as, like, the leader of, like, a skinhead group. Pretty interesting casting, but he was really cool in that movie. Really scary. Definitely didn't expect him to play that kind of role. It's always cool when you get to see an actor just play, like, a totally different kind of character from what you've normally gotten to see them play. It's always just a nice breath of fresh air when you get to see, like, an actor who's usually kind of typecast or only really does, like, one thing for the most part, and then they get to do something totally different, and they're, of course, great at it. You know, it's cool. It was cool seeing, you know, Matthew Lillard in Twin Peaks: The Return as this just fucked up husband who's like this fucked up husband who it's discovered that he's been cheating on his wife, and they discover it by finding the woman he's been cheating on murdered, and he seems like he's the one murdered, like, and he's just in this horrible situation where he's, like, not a great dude, but he, like, doesn't deserve this fate that's been handed to him. Like, he's really good in that, you know, Matthew Lillard's really good in that newer Twin Peaks season they made a few years ago. So it's cool that David Lynch gave Matthew Lillard an opportunity to play that kind of character, because, you know, usually lately... Well, and Matthew Lillard also recently got to do that Five Nights at Freddy's movie, but that's, you know, I guess maybe in a sequel we'll see more of him, but, you know, he only really got, like, 2 scenes in that movie, and, you know, they were standout scenes, but not quite the same. Not quite the same. I guess we'll see where that series takes him eventually, but it was just cool, like, I don't know, seeing something outside of Matthew Lillard's usual wheelhouse for Twin Peaks. Because usually he's just kind of... Most of the time you just have Matthew Lillard, he's just voicing Shaggy in some Scooby-Doo cartoons. So, you know, it's cool to see him actually show that he's, like, a great actor, you know? He could play different kinds of characters. It always sucks when you see someone get typecast in general who you really like, but you just never... Like, you know, the same thing with Bruce Campbell. I always felt like Bruce Campbell could have easily played Superman in a 90s Superman movie. It just didn't get to happen. He just kind of got, you know, got stuck in B movies generally, or TV, and, you know, that stuff's great, but, you know, it sort of sucks that you never really got to see Bruce Campbell become the mainstream action star he could have easily been. Like, you know, it fucking sucks. It just sucks. It sucks. Fuck, it sucks. Ugh. Hate typecasting. Oh well. Dogma says, greetings, Dr. Wolf. Well, greetings to you, Dogma. Greetings. And I do gotta say, Dogma is my favorite Kevin Smith movie. So, of course, Dogma is also the only Kevin Smith movie that is out of print. Like, I really should have held on to my DVD copy of Dogma. Ugh. God, copies of that just go for so much fucking money. Ugh. Chrissy Rengert says, it doesn't make sense for the Bride of Frankenstein to be not naked. Yeah, that was the one thing the James Whale original movie was missing. Like, just a nice pair of big Frankenstein monster titties. I mean, honestly, you know, that'd be like the first thing. I don't even know why I made goulash. The first thing I should have did was make a Frankenstein monster with a nice big pair of titties. I don't know why I didn't do that, but oh well. Okay. Kaylin Schwartz says, hey Doc, were you thinking of the movie Razorback? That was brought up a couple times, but that title isn't familiar to me, so I don't think I was thinking of that. There's been lots of pig-related horror movies, though. There's been lots of pig-related horror movies. Propane Salesman says, I think Bruce Campbell would make a great Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie. I don't necessarily see him as a Batman necessarily, but then again, you know, I was talking about typecasting. I see him more as, like, you know, a Superman kind of guy. I guess, you know, I've just never seen him like, I guess admittedly, that is a key thing. Like, I wish he got bigger roles and more, more mainstream stuff. But I admittedly, he usually plays like very lighthearted characters or like goofball characters. So it would be interesting to see Bruce Campbell play a Batman-like character who is just always serious, because he is almost always, like, he gradually much more comedic with his portrayal of Ash Williams over time, to the point where Ash Williams is like basically Homer Simpson with a chainsaw hand, like. So I guess it would be interesting to see Bruce Campbell play Batman, or play like, play any kind of superhero. That'd be cool. Joseph Shenfen. Okay, I'm just gonna say Joseph S. says, Doc, review The Legacy. I haven't heard The Legacy, but I'll make sure to keep it in mind. Jason6 says, it's the chin. I mean, Bruce Campbell has the perfect superhero chin, so it's just a shame we never really got to see him play. I mean, we got to see him play Darkman, technically. He's Darkman at the end of Darkman. I don't think he played Darkman in the actual costume, though, but, yeah, honestly, I don't know why they didn't just make, like, Darkman 2. But this time, it's, we saved some money. It's not Liam Neeson anymore. This time, it's Bruce Campbell, He's got, like, the superhero chin and everything. Like, kind of surprised they didn't go in that direction with the Darkman sequels, because it felt like, they had the setup. Like, yeah, we have, like, the perfect way to explain why Liam Neeson isn't playing Darkman anymore, and we get Bruce Campbell playing the character. Oh, well. Let me see. Chrissy Ringert says Frankentits. Yeah. Actually, why haven't they made, like, a movie called Frankentits? They made Frankenhooker. I feel like the next approach would be Frankentits, but, I guess Hollywood is just afraid of making money. All right, let me get some shout-outs, and then I'll get back to some more questions. Feel free to ask while I shout out these folks who supported the channel.
I want to give a shout out to Captain Meilenstein's YouTube channel. He's a horror host like me who lovingly reviews horror films. Subscribe to him today. Subscribe to 3 Trailers Down, a horror channel that makes in-depth reviews about films like Trick or Treat and Mandy and delves into how they were made. Watch their videos today. Subscribe to the Steam Lord on YouTube today, a prolific YouTube poop creator who has Simpsons Treehouse of Horror collabs on his channel, and I've recently made a cameo in one of his videos. Check it out and get subscribed. Next, I'm going to have to suggest that you check out Rockland Graves Productions, an up-and-comer in the realm of horror YouTube who also produces some great music. I gotta give a shout out to the Six Squad, a YouTube channel with a unique style and a wide range of horror content, including reviews, music, and so much more. Follow and listen to the Very Unreasonable Things podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts, which features Billy, Josh, and Daniel discussing sci-fi, horror, and assorted B-movies. They recently covered The Lost Boys. Jane wanted me to give her husband Nate a shout-out for his band Dead Street Dreamers. You can follow them on Instagram at Dead Street Dreamers. Listen to and follow the Dead and Married podcast, a married couples podcast dedicated to horror, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Their most recent episode covers X.
Oh yeah, speaking of X, Dead and Married podcast have recently reviewed X, so make sure to check out their podcast and subscribe to them. Alright. Benny says, Hollywood avoid crossovers, they are throwing money away. I don't know, like, that was a big thing. Well, it wasn't such a big thing. Like, I feel like we had, like, a few Universal Monsters crossovers, but there really wasn't that many. It felt like there was a lot more than there was, but it really was maybe, like, 4 or 5 movies. It was kind of like the later era where it feels like maybe crossovers used to be a thing where a movie studio was getting desperate. They were like, well, these horror movies aren't making as much money on their own. Maybe we should, like, cross over these horror icons and see if we can find a new way to make money out of them. So I guess maybe that's why we haven't seen as many crossovers, but we might end up seeing that again when, the desperation hits again. When it's like, okay, well, Chucky and Leprechaun, these movies haven't been doing so well at the box. Well, People haven't been buying these movies because nobody's like seeing any Chucky or Leprechaun movies in theaters at all anyway. But like, just an example, maybe we should finally have them cross over in a big movie. Maybe that'll be how we get Warwick Davis to come back too. Because it's so sad that like they can't even get Warwick Davis to come back to play Leprechaun. They're just like, he's just like not interested. And like, God, you can't even get Warwick Davis back. Such a shame. All right, let me see. I saw someone ask a question, but I want to make sure. Okay, Lou Bliss asks, Doc, have you talked about the new Superman logo yet? Well, the new Superman logo technically isn't a new logo. If you guys haven't seen, James Gunn, who I'm actually surprised is directing the new Superman movie. I thought he was just going to write the movie. I thought his role was just going to be just producing all these DC movies and maybe writing some of them. But I was surprised, like, yeah, he's all actually directing the first one of the new DC Universe movies. And it's just going to be called Superman now, which I like, that was my phone. Fuck. I'm lifting up my phone to move it. But, yeah, I like the fact that they're going with the simple title of Superman instead of Superman Legacy. I'm glad they're dropping the Legacy thing because, technically the original Superman movie was called Superman the Movie, which, in the movie itself, they do just call it Superman, but still, I feel like enough time has passed where you can just get away with calling a movie just Superman, to the point where I don't think anyone's gonna get this new one mixed up with the original Christopher Reeve Superman directed by Richard Donner. I don't think anybody's gonna get confused. I'm looking forward to this new Superman movie. I'm a little iffy on James Gunn being involved just because I felt like that Suicide Squad movie was, it was entertaining, but it just felt way too goofy, so I'm afraid, like, Superman will be a little too goofy. I don't want a dark Superman movie, but I'm just afraid of it getting, like becoming farcical, like James Gunn movies sometimes tend to be. Hopefully it's not over the top. Like, I'm hoping it's, like, lighthearted and stuff. Just hoping it doesn't have, like, I don't know, some of the goofier shit James Gunn has been known to do. But as for the logo itself, when I first saw the logo, I was kind of iffy because it is the Kingdom Come logo. It's like Kingdom Come Superman's streamlined logo, where it's basically just, the diamond with basically just a line going across representing the S. I was a little iffy about it, but then when I saw it in color, I was like, okay, this looks like a cool, streamlined, modern Superman logo. It's not, where it's I felt like it worked with, because I was afraid they're going to make it like red and black like the Kingdom Come Superman logo, but no, it's like a red and yellow classic logo. It's just got like the Kingdom Come streamlined approach to it. It might be a little too streamlined. I know some people don't like it, but I feel like I need to wait until I see the full suit before I can really make a judgment. But I kind of like it. I kind of like how it's not like, it's more like just a streamlined emblem. It's not like this is like just like an S on his chest. Like, it looks more like this is just like a logo, like an icon or something. Like, I don't know. Might be too, I don't know. Let me see. Well, okay, so someone asks another question. Sue Blanton says, do you want a pastiche Superman kind of retro-y? I'm hoping they're kind of going in that direction with the new Superman movie, where I like that approach to Superman the Animated Series, where it was it felt kind of retro. Same thing with Batman the Animated Series. They kind of felt retro. They felt like, it worked pretty well with the Batman. That technically takes place in the modern day, but it feels like kind of like a 70s sort of approach to a Batman movie, like where it has, I don't know, like I'm hoping it feels like a little bit of a throwback. I'm hoping Metropolis feels like a retro futuristic world. I'm hoping for something like that. And I see Billy Zane is here. And I will also say that I'm disappointed that Billy Zane was not cast as Lex Luthor. The fact that Billy Zane has still not played Lex Luthor, the role he was born to play, the perfect casting is Billy Zane as Lex Luthor. It still has not happened. It's such a fucking shame. I'm hoping I'm hoping we can finally get Billy Zane to play Lex Luthor. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Because he's got, like, I don't know, because, you know, of course Billy Zane is bald, but he's also just got, like, that perfect bravado, perfect voice for Lex Luthor. At least let him play Lex Luthor in an animated movie. Come on. We need Billy Zane. We need more Billy Zane in general. Benny says, somebody ring the dingster. You know, I didn't really like Spy Kids 3 all that much, but that one, you know, that one shot of that random character approaching and saving the day, it really saved the movie for me. Because it's like such a random minor character from Spy Kids 2, and then he shows up at the end of Spy Kids 3 to help save the day. It's like, what? Does anyone even remember this character? Like, it just felt like a fucking, oh man, it just felt like, as random as possible. Like, just amazing. Like, Robert Rodriguez, he was cooking for the end of Spy Kids 3. He was really cooking. I wish he was cooking as much for Book of Boba Fett, but I guess so. Oh well. Gavin Elrod asks, thoughts on Smallville? I only really ever saw a few episodes of it. It just wasn't really my kind of thing. You know, I'm not that interested in Superman's origins before he becomes Superman. Just jump ahead. Just fucking jump ahead. I don't want to have to, like, sit through 11 seasons and then I get, like, a brief, blurry glimpse of him in the Superman costume for, like, 1 second. Like, I don't want to do that shit. You know, So, yeah, I didn't watch much of Smallville. I know, like, a lot of people liked it, just I can't really get into that kind of thing. I generally can't get into a lot of TV shows, just because I feel like a lot of TV shows just end up feeling really padded out, where I don't want to just watch something just purely to kill time. I feel like a lot of shows are designed to do that. They're just like, we're just filling in the hours, we're just killing time. Like, that's why I can't get into a lot of TV. It just feels like just a lot of fluff. I need a lot more stuff to sink my teeth into. I can't watch stuff with lots of monsters of the week. I can't watch a lot of anime because of that. I just can't get into these things with hundreds of episodes. Like, I just, you know, it just doesn't appeal to me that much, admittedly. Just doesn't appeal to me. Zachary Scott says they need a Brightburn sequel. I thought it was pretty funny that James Gunn made an evil horror Superman movie, and now he's just making a Superman movie. I also find it funny that James Gunn wrote the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead remake, and they both ended up going on to make their own Superman movies. It's kind of funny how that's, you know, how things worked out that way. It's kind of funny. Alright, okay, let me see. Drake Condrit says, I'll give the Winnie the Pooh 2 trailer this. It actually looks like a movie that'd be released in theaters. Okay, yeah, I didn't really mention that when I was talking about the trailer itself. But, it is, like, definitely a jump in quality from the first movie. They definitely got an actual budget for the, new movie. It definitely doesn't look, direct-to-video quality. I'll give it that much. Man, I got a helicopter flying over my home. Hopefully that's not for me. Because I am wanted in a few counties. And, I'm hoping, okay. I think they flew over. Okay, good. Sue Blanton says, I want a Scooby-Doo film that's like the Brady Bunch movie. I think it would be good. I'd like to see another take on a live-action Scooby-Doo movie. I think after, like, the Barbie movie, you can do, like, a really great Scooby-Doo movie. And, just take it to another level, I think. Maybe even, like, tie into the original cast. It'd be cool to see, like, I don't know. Well, I do know Freddie Prinze Jr. has said he's definitely never going to come back. So maybe, I don't know, it would be cool to, like, you know, I don't know. I would like to see maybe, like, an expanded Scooba-verse or something. But, you know, I would like to see a new Scooby-Doo movie that's, like, darker and spookier. I don't know if I'd want it to be like Brady Bunch, though, because I feel like we already got a Barbie movie that's kind of like the Brady Bunch. Like, I want a Scooby-Doo movie that I want a Scooby-Doo movie where, like, the characters aren't treated like jokes. I would like a Scooby-Doo movie where it feels like the Scooby Gang are in a world that they fit into. And maybe they could go to a place where they don't fit in, where it's, like, definitely not a 60s style world, but, I want to see a world where, Scooby Gang it's clearly the 60s or 60s style world. I would like to see, actually, just, like, a retro Scooby-Doo movie that took place in the 60s. That'd be fucking awesome. That'd be fucking great. Or maybe if you don't want to do that, maybe you could have, like, an Austin Powers take where they're frozen and they get thawed out. Maybe not that. But yeah, I do want another live-action Scooby-Doo movie. Just coming up with lots of different pitches for how you could do it. Not necessary. I just want more live-action Scooby. I want more. Gavin Elrod says a live-action Zombie Island movie. That would be pretty cool. That's definitely a take. That's honestly like the perfect take, to the point where James Gunn basically ripped it off for the first live-action movie just for the sake of, well, let's have the gang split up and not search for clues, just split up because they're not solving mysteries together anymore, and then they come back together to solve a new mystery on a scary island. It's just, with the James Gunn movie, it wasn't Zombie Island, it was Spooky Island. Much more on the nose somehow than Zombie Island, much more on the nose. Much more on the nose. Gavin Elrod asks, is Velma Season 2 still coming? My theory was that Velma was actually... They didn't really make a Velma Season 2. They basically made one... Like, they made a big Season 1 of Velma. And they would just, like, split it up into 2 separate seasons, but they had, like, one order. But at this point, there's been no discussion of more Velma, so I think that show's done. I think the internet safely killed it. The internet, like, just kind of took a pillow to the Velma TV series and, like, smothered it to death. So I don't think that's coming back. It's not coming back. I would have been open to a retooled version that was treated with more care, but Nicolo says Velma is coming back, unfortunately. Oh, I guess if it is coming back, I just haven't heard about it. I guess maybe in that case they are just making the show. I just assume that they just had some more episodes that they just didn't release and were sitting on it. But I guess maybe it is going to come back, huh? Maybe it is. But I haven't really looked into Velma all that much either. I honestly... It's one of those things that it came out... Like, I'm honestly surprised it came out last year because I like, it was, like, such a thing for a while. And then, like, we all moved on to being mad about other things, I guess. We stopped being as mad about it, We moved on to being mad about something else. I don't know what we moved on to being mad about after Velma, though. We need another thing to be mad about, though. I feel like it's so great when we all just agree on the same things to be mad about, It's just really empowering, I think. It's just really empowering. Way Up Dude says, Dr. Wolfula is the wolf. Yeah, you're right, I am. Don't you forget it. Alright, Way Up Dude also says, Dr. Wolfula is the wolf of all wolves. I'm the wolf of Wall Street. I'm the wolf of Wolf Street. Did they ever make the Wall of Wolf Street? I feel like that would be a good parody of Wolf of Wall Street, I think. I think that'd be a good approach. Artist SRF says, if Velma ruins the Hex Girls, I'll hex them. I do feel like it's such a shame that we never really got, like, the Hex Girl spinoff or the Ghoul School spinoff. Like, Ghoul School felt like it would have been perfect. I know, like, a show, I think OKKO recently had a Ghoul School episode. I think that was the show. Maybe it was a different show, or I don't know. I don't really watch Cartoon Network. I just heard Ghoul School appeared in a recent Cartoon Network show. And it's just like, I feel like it would be a perfect candidate for, like, Warner Brothers version of a Monster High format. you have all the, it just felt like such a shame. It felt like Ghoul School and Reluctant Werewolf and Boo Brothers were basically just made as backdoor pilots for potential Scooby-Doo spin-off shows that just didn't end up being made, because I think around that time, Turner acquired Hanna-Barbera, and at that point, Turner was basically like, all right, Hanna-Barbera, you guys aren't going to be making any new cartoons for a while, or you're going to be making very few new cartoons for a while, and we're just going to focus on having your, exploiting your back catalog for a while so we can launch Cartoon Network. So don't worry about making like a Ghoul School cartoon. It's not going to happen. I want that Ghoul School cartoon. Fucking want it. Fucking want that shit. All right, I'm going to cut to some more shout-outs to some kind folks who have supported the channel, and then I'll be back to answering questions.
Subscribe and follow the Podmortem Podcast for all your horror listening needs. They do weekly discussions of horror films, and their most recent episode covers Drag Me to Hell. Follow Moshmania, an Instagram page featuring cosplays of horror icons like Jason and Michael Myers. Follow Allison Gray's Instagram page, Creator for Hire, to check out their lovely art. They also do commissions for $5 to $10, and you should also follow them on X at Creator for Hire. Follow the Shape of Evil page on Instagram for horror cosplays and all things Halloween franchise. Follow Scott Topic on Instagram as well if you want to check out some kick-ass horror memorabilia, including customized Michael Myers masks. Follow Trevirus06 on Instagram. He's the guitarist and vocalist for the death metal band Carnotaurus. Give his music a listen to. Rooster Montgomery has requested I deliver a courtesy warning to all the residents of Washington County, Oregon. Be on the lookout for a sexy vampire calling herself Violet. He believes she's sucking her way through the entire town and fears he's next. Not that it would be much of a loss.
All right, thank you again, pre-recorded me. All right, I got some super chat questions. Sarah Michelle Geller. Okay, well, Joseph Finley has a super chat. Thank you, Joseph. Sarah Michelle Geller / Sydney Sweeney. Scissoring would be quote-unquote terrible. That'd be kind of interesting, because Sarah Michelle Gellar is, like, old enough to be Sydney Sweeney's mother. I mean, I'd be into it, but I don't know if that would end up being filmed, but I wouldn't complain, but I don't know. I've never even seen, I don't think I've ever seen scissoring happen in a movie. Oh, man, I guess that would be a really kinky Scooby-Doo movie if they were like, okay, let's have time-traveling Scooby-Doo gang fuck their younger counterparts. That would be interesting. It'd be an interesting approach to it. Gavin Elrod suggests a Scrappy-Doo spin-off. Well, I feel like the 80s Scooby-Doo cartoons just felt like pretty much spin-offs on their own, even with Shaggy. Like, they were honestly basically, a lot of the late 80s Scooby-Doo cartoons were basically spin-offs. They were just like wild premises that were pretty far from the original approach to the show, with just like, just focusing on a few characters from the original series generally. Like, at a certain point, to the point where the made-for-TV movies just didn't even have Daphne. Like, they cut out Daphne, Fred, and Velma completely, and it was just Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. Like, basically just spin-offs. Like, they were really trying to figure out what Scooby-Doo should be, approaching the 21st century, and then eventually it became clear that, maybe it could just be, maybe it could just be Scooby-Doo. Maybe it could just be like what it was before, maybe that was fine. Maybe we don't need the, we don't need Scrappy, we don't need Flim Flam, we don't need 13 Ghosts. We can just, like, they could be just solving mysteries, again. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I don't think anyone would complain about that. Alright, psychically drinking Fresca. That's my favorite thing to do. Lord Raddington has a super chat. Thank you, Lord Raddington. Just out of curiosity, have you ever seen or talked about anything Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I just started watching it recently. Yeah, I remember watching the show a little bit back when it was still on and still super relevant, but I never really got into it. if you're interested in Buffy the Vampire Slayer content, I'm not sure. I have a counterpart channel in the form of Captain Meinstein. I know he's super into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, though I'm not sure if he ever covered that himself either, but I know he's a big fan of it. Guess I should look into that some more, but, yeah, I never really got into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I guess I just also didn't really generally get into a lot of what's the name of, like, the fucking canceled creator of that show? I can't even remember his name. I generally didn't get into a lot of his shows in general. And I guess maybe him becoming disgraced, I guess maybe feel, like, vindicated in some way, but, yeah, I just... Oh, Joss Whedon, now I remember. Joss Whedon. I beat the chat. I know someone in the chat is going to say Joss Whedon. I remembered his name on my own. Yes. I feel so good. I'm going to have so many people say Joss Whedon now. But anyway, yeah, I never really got into Joss Whedon stuff. Yeah, JB Spooky Review, I beat you. I beat you. I know it's Joss Whedon. But yeah, I never got... But I did like, you know, Cabin in the Woods. Like, that's really the only thing I really was into that Joss Whedon did. I never really watched Firefly either. I guess maybe, you know... I guess Joss Whedon is going to be making a lot of stuff in the future, so... So, I could easily catch up on Joss Whedon's stuff. There's, you know, definitely check out, it's such a shame this recent writer's strike he didn't make the, Dr. Horrible's sequel. It's such a shame. You'd think it'd be the perfect time to release Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog 2, but he just didn't get around to it. Oh, well. I did see Avengers 1 and 2. I did see that stuff. But I just haven't seen a lot of his shows. I know he did some ghostwriting for Toy Story. Love the first Toy Story, you know, there's that. But yeah, I guess maybe I should go back and check out Buffy the Vampire Slayer. At least, I feel like, maybe I saw the movie that the TV show was spawned from. Like, that's really interesting to me. Maybe I'll make a video on the original movie that had Paul Rubens in it. That would be pretty interesting, because it's such a fascinating thing where it started out as this screenplay that Joss Whedon wrote for a movie, and then the movie wasn't the way he wanted it to be, and then somehow he got it to where he could turn that movie into a show with, like, a totally different cast. Like, it's kind of fucking funny to me. Alright, let me see. Propane Salesman says, hopefully they won't let Alec Baldwin on set for The Crow. I don't know, maybe. I wouldn't mind, you know, if it means that Crow movie doesn't come out. Oh, God. I feel like people, like, God, I feel like, oh, it's fucked up to say, but I think if Bill Skarsgård did die on the set of the new Crow movie, like, people would be like, oh, this movie's gonna be great. Like... That's the sign. Or God, it's, like, so fucked up to think about. Like, because, like, now it's like, we love Bill Skarsgård. Like, you know, you gotta say nice things about the movie when the main actor dies in it. Okay, hopefully Bill Skarsgård does not die in the new Crow movie. Just for the sake of being able to make fun of it. Because, I don't know, like, I don't like the way it looks so far. I don't like the fact that he looks like Lil Peep. I don't like the fact that he's like a SoundCloud rapper kind of guy. It's just, it doesn't look good. I don't like the way the Crow looks. He looks like Jared Leto Joker. It's just not great. Admittedly, I was never super into the original Crow either. Maybe I need to give it another rewatch, but like it's a really cool looking movie, and it's got some, like, I don't know, some great moments, but I don't know, I wasn't so into it like a lot of other people were. Maybe I need to give it another shot, especially with the new Crow movie coming out. But we'll see. That was, you know, it's fucked up because I reviewed, like, the first Crow sequel. Like, that was one of my first videos on this channel. I was like, I need to cover The Crow, too. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. The Crow 2 had, like, one of the Yellow Ranger in it before she passed away, too. I think maybe that was part of it. I was like, I need to see the Yellow Ranger one last time. One last time. JB Spooky Review says Brandon Lee is a legend. He is. Just, I don't know. I just was not as into The Crow as I thought I was hoping to be, but I'll give it another shot. This new Crow movie does not look good, though. It does not look good. Not look good. Tobers has a super chat. Oh, yeah, okay. Tobers basically bringing up The Crow also. But Tober says, you've seen the screenshots of Bill Skarsgård's look as the Crow for the reboot. I was like, oh, no, because he looks like Jared Leto's Joker. Yeah, I did mention all that. But, yeah, it does not look good. Does not look good. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, you know, when I first saw... Why am I blanking? Why am I... You know, when I first saw, you know, when I first see some designs of certain things, I'll be like, well, I don't really like the way that looks. So, like, but then I'll end up seeing the movie and I'll be like, actually, it works. Like, I like that, you know, like with Heath Ledger Joker, because unfortunately I was blanking on Heath Ledger's name just because I was thinking of Jared Leto, because the Jared Leto, I was like, no, it's not Jared Leto. Oh, God. But yeah, you know, with Heath Ledger's Joker, my first instinct was, I don't like the way this looks. I don't like the way it looks. Then you see the movie with the performance attached to it, and then you're like, okay, you know, it works. So I do want to reserve full judgment until I see the final movie. I don't like what I've seen so far, but it's one of those things where, it could end up working still. Like, you know, it could end up working. And I believe my cat in the other room is sneezing. So, it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear some little cat sneezes coming from the other room. It's really fun. All right, let me see. Eddie Huerta says, Doc, you and Crypt Keeper make the robe hoodie a fashionable choice still. You know, then again, you know, Crypt Keeper did wear the hood a lot, but sometimes he didn't wear the hood. I guess he always had a hood, but sometimes he'd have it down. I'd never have my hood down, though. I cannot do that. Does not look good. You know, I definitely need to wear this hood at all times, because without the hood, it's just, it just looks fucking... It just doesn't look good. I think maybe without the hood on, like, the shape of my head looks like a dick. Like, you could actually see it. You could see in my Psycho review, you could see in the silhouette, like, I do like the Alfred Hitchcock silhouette, and editing that video later, I was like, yeah, the silhouette of me, like, it looks like I look like a dick. Like, it looks like, you know, so it's nice to have the hood, because, yeah, it's not a very flattering profile when the hood is not as prevalent, you know, it's not as flattering. BAN has a super chat saying, who else is getting oiled up tonight? I know I'm already oiled up. Down there. Xavier God has a super chat. Will you ever review the Toxic Avenger movies? You know, I haven't covered really any Full Moon movies, and I haven't covered any Trauma movies, and that's a big blind spot on the channel that I need to rectify soon. I'll definitely be checking out the new Toxic Avenger movie, and I'll try to make a review of the original movie in the build-up to that, because I know that new one's coming out. I'm looking forward to that new one. I just need to finally find the right window for it. Find the right window for that kind of video. Propane Salesman asks, have you ever watched Dracula Flow? You know what? Okay, I'm going to start, like, making it a point to Google these things. Just to find out what Dracula Flow is. Oh, okay. Okay, this is interesting. Alright. Okay, so it's a guy dressed up as Dracula that freestyle raps. I'll have to check this out later. Interesting. So, you know, I'll have to check that out, you know. I'll have to bookmark that. Okay. Tobers has a super chat. I'll reserve my thoughts on the new Crow until I see the reboot 2. The original movie, despite losing our dear Brandon, is a real win for comic book adaptations. Yeah, I'm gonna wait and see. I don't want to be like, well, I guess it'll depend on, like, how the trailer's gonna end up looking. I have a better idea, I suppose, but I do need to wait until I guess, the trailer will help me decide if it's a movie I even want to watch, but, yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like such a typical internet thing to, like, it happened with Velma, too, and I don't like it when it's like this, you sort of see a thing, you see an early look at a thing, and you dogpile on it without actually getting a better look at it first, because, when I heard Velma came out, I was, like, skeptical about it, but I was like, I'll wait until I see more of it before I, judge it harshly, and then, it came out, and I didn't like it. Like, I just feel like it's just one of those things where you just have to, like, because, I used to, like, look at something way ahead of time and be like, okay, this looks like it fucking sucks, and then I'd be proven wrong, and I'd feel like, quite foolish, so I don't like to be in that situation, so, I like to, it doesn't look great so far, but I'm not, like, gonna damn it, completely. I'm gonna wait and see how the final, product turns out, because I'm also not somebody who is like, oh, you can't make a new version of anything, especially when, the actor passed away, because, it happens, it should always be open to a new version. Just hopefully they treat this new version with respect. It doesn't seem like necessarily they have, but hopefully I'm proven wrong. Joseph Finley asks, Doc, how would Cosby review the new Crow movie? I really like that Bill Skarsgård's face tattoo. I was considering getting some face tattoos in prison, but I just didn't want to. I just was afraid of it hurting, and I'm afraid of needles. So instead, I got a tattoo on my pudding pop, nice and discreet. No one has to see it. It's anyway, I think this Crow movie is great. All right, okay, I'm done. Okay, enough of that. I don't know where I was going with that. You don't want to unleash the Cosby, you don't want to do that. Lindsay H. asks, what do you think of the new Nosferatu? I feel like they missed an opportunity not calling it Noosferatu, like New Sferatu. They really should have done that. But yeah, I liked The Lighthouse. That was a really weird movie. I don't know if that movie will, because, the new Nosferatu is by Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse. He's definitely got a very cool, old school, throwback, retro vibe to his horror filmmaking, so I'm curious how that will translate to Nosferatu. I think it would translate pretty well to Nosferatu. Really well. JB Spooky Reviews says, what the hell is going on? Hey, don't worry about it. I was asked to do my Bill Cosby impression, and when you're, like, over 2 hours into a stream, sometimes it just doesn't work out very well. Eddie Views asks, ever heard of the upcoming Suicide Squad anime or any previous DC anime? I heard they were making a Suicide Squad anime. I don't know if we've seen any footage of it yet. I'm not really that into the Suicide Squad in general. There's unfortunately a lot of major DC things that end up on my radar are Suicide Squad themed. I've just never really been into Suicide Squad, mainly because it feels like they've just been, like, treating Suicide Squad like a grittier Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm just not really into that approach. I don't want it, I feel like just way too silly and goofy with Suicide Squad. They could be a little, I don't know, a little less goofy with it, but that's just me. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that the recent Suicide Squad game was not good, because I was looking forward to a new Rocksteady game, but it seems like I'm not gonna get the great follow-up I was hoping for. I guess that's just how things are, unfortunately. Alright, time for some final shout-outs. Here we go.
Xavier the God just wanted me to give him a shout out. Nothing in particular, but I just wanted to thank him for all of his support on the channel. Super Shag21 wanted me to recommend that you subscribe and follow Two Elise Animations, who makes charmingly cute art and animated videos that you can find on YouTube and X at Two Elise. Sean O'Brien just wanted a regular shout out, so I'd just like to give thanks to Sean for all the help he's given me over the years. Thanks, Sean. And here's a full list of my shout-out tier supporters on Patreon and my YouTube channel memberships. Their support is greatly appreciated and helps the channel to continue to thrive and grow through these many years. It wouldn't be possible without all their help. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Now, I did have some extra Patreon questions, quite a few that I haven't gotten to in this stream, but we ended up going way over time, so I'll save those for a future one of these After Dark Q&As, just something extra later, but I'll answer some more questions with you guys here live. But I think we're nearing the end. But Artist SRF says, to think I used to like Bill Cosby's shows, Little Bill, Fat Albert, and The Cosby Show. Hey, like, there's always a chance he could come out with another banger. Like, he's still got plenty of time, so who knows? Maybe he'll make a spiritual successor to one of those shows in the, in the coming years. Like, I'm hoping Bill Cosby makes a comeback, I think, he did some things that were wrong, but, give him another chance. Give us a new Fat Albert cartoon show. Come on. Just give him another chance. Come on. Tevia Smolka says, what is going on? I don't know what is going on. Maybe I should stop talking about Bill Cosby. I did love, Little Bill was a pretty good show. Alright. Okay, so Joseph Schenkenfelder asks, Blumhouse is talking about a Friday the 13th movie. So, Doc, how do you feel the upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series on Hulu? Well, I don't know. I know Blumhouse is interested in making a new Friday the 13th movie, but I don't think that it's necessarily going to happen. I don't think it's going to necessarily happen anytime soon, especially with it's not going to be a Hulu show, it's going to be a Peacock show. They're making a Peacock Friday the 13th series called, I think it's just going to be called Crystal Lake or something, with the creator of the Hannibal TV show helming it. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm honestly, I don't know how well it'll translate to a TV show, but I'm desperate for something new Friday the 13th related, and I'm hoping a show will open the door for some new Friday the 13th movies. Like, I'm hoping, fingers crossed. Feels like the TV show is basically, well, this is all we can really make happen due to the current legal situation, financial situation involved with Friday the 13th currently, so let's just, put this fucking franchise to use somewhere. I've seen some talk about making a Nightmare on Elm Street show, too, as well. A new Nightmare on Elm Street show, I should say. And I'd be interested in seeing that approach to it, because that was an aspect of Freddy's Nightmares where they made that an anthology show because they're like, well, eventually he'll just end up killing all the characters. But you can kind of, have some new characters appear that, you could bring in new characters as characters get killed over time with the show. I just want some more Jason and Freddy, though. If it means a TV show, I'd be fine with that, but it would be nice to have some new movies done right, but, I guess, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Sue Blanton asks, did you like the Venture Brothers' Scooby-Doo inspired characters, the Groovy Gang? That's one of my favorite episodes of the Venture Brothers, for sure. It's like a very clever parody of Scooby-Doo. That episode was called Viva Los Muertos of Venture Brothers, and it's just a very clever parody of Scooby-Doo. It isn't just let's make fun of, like, you know, Velma's a lesbian or Shaggy's a stoner. Like, it was, let's reimagine the Scooby-Doo gang as, basically serial killers where, you know, the Venture Brothers version of Fred Jones is Ted Bundy. The Venture Brothers version of Shaggy is Son of Sam, which works really fucking well because Son of Sam talked to dogs. So Sonny, Sonny, like, he talks to Scooby, and Scooby's, like, telling him to, like, fucking kill people and stuff. Like, it's really dark. The Venture Brothers version of Daphne is Patty Hearst, who, of course, was that, you know, that, newspaper heiress who got kidnapped, and, so essentially, you know, the Venture Brothers Daphne is, like, basically a kidnap victim who has been, like, brainwashed into, like, being part of this organization that solves pseudo-mysteries. And then, of course, the Venture Brothers version of Velma is Valerie Sloans, who was the woman who shot Andy Warhol. Just, like, a really clever, like, she wrote the Scum Manifesto where, you know, about how men should be fucking, like, men should just be treated as studs, and when we've served our purpose, we should be gassed to death. Like, it's just, like, such a fucked up take on Scooby-Doo that just works really well. It's very, very organic to Scooby-Doo, where it's like, these were all, like, horrible people from the 70s as well that are just reimagined as Scooby-Doo characters. Just very clever, and it made me so sad that they were basically just used for one episode, because it's like, felt like you could make a whole show about those characters, but, like, Brock Sampson kills the Venture Brothers version of Fred and Shaggy, and then eventually they do come back later as, like, Frankenstein monsters, but still, like, oh man, like, just fucking awesome. Just fucking awesome. So yeah, if you haven't seen that Venture Brothers episode with the Scooby-Doo gang, you gotta check it out. It's, like, fucking amazing. So it's, like, Venture Brothers in general is just, like, great at just reimagining the Hanna-Barbera legacy in clever ways, like, that aren't just, like, surface level. Like, really, really just adds a lot of depth to the, like, just bringing these cartoon characters in the real world and how they would be. So yeah, check out Venture Brothers. You know, they recently made a, finale movie that was really good too, so yeah, check that out. The Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart is the name of the Venture Brothers movie that came out last year, so check out the series. You know, it's finally got a decent conclusion. I'd be open for some more Venture Brothers, but yeah, check it out. Tevya Smolka says, I thought the right stuff with Friday the 13th was over. Technically, it is, but the situation is, technically, Victor Miller has the rights to Camp Crystal Lake, and, some of the names and iconography, but he doesn't have the rights to Jason in a hockey mask, necessarily. Like, things that were added into sequels he was not involved in, so it makes making another Friday the 13th movie difficult because, you know, he doesn't have the rights to use some of the later iconography from the franchise. So the approach instead, alternatively, is, well, we can't, like, take anything from further along in the timeline, but we could do, like, a prequel show about Mrs. Voorhees and Jason as a kid, and that's how we can maybe make it work. And see where things go from there. It's sort of similar with what happened with Hannibal, the TV show that the maker of this new Friday the 13th show is also worked on, where, you know, Hannibal didn't have the rights to use characters from Silence of the Lambs, so you couldn't have Clarice in there at any point. They were hoping to try to get the rights worked out for a season 4 of Hannibal, but it just didn't end up happening. But, you know, you work with what you got, and it seems like that's what they're doing with this new Friday the 13th show, this new Brad Fuller Friday the 13th show, where it's just like, well, we're working with what we got. We got the rights to the original movie. Let's see what we can do with those, and hopefully we can figure something out later down the line, but we're gonna use these rights for something. Like, we can't just fucking sit on them for years, you know? We gotta use them for something. Eddie Views asks, who would you hire as your bodyguard? Freddy, Michael, Candyman, or Jason? Well, Candyman wouldn't work out so well because, like, you know, I guess maybe I don't know if it would work out because I'd say his name 3 times and he'd, like, kill me. So I'd have to have, like, the guy who's, like, out to get me say his name 3 times. That wouldn't work, like, as a bodyguard. Unless Candy... Okay, I want to avoid saying his name too many. Unless that guy, like, is just hanging out with me. He's just, like, hanging out with me. Like, I guess that would be nice. But, no, you gotta, like, summon him or something like that. I don't know. At least that's what I think the rules are. So maybe not the Seaman. So maybe, I don't know if I go with Freddy, because, like, you know, he'd have to enter people's dreams. So if I'm in danger, I'd have to, like, get the person putting me into danger to go to sleep in order for Freddy to have any hope of helping me. So Freddy wouldn't be my bodyguard. So either Michael or Jason. I don't know. Like, I feel like, I don't know, you couldn't really get Michael to do anything for you. He's kind of like his own... kind of does things on his own. With Jason, you could manipulate him. Like, he'd be more viable as a bodyguard, because all I'd have to really do is put on his mother's sweater, and then just convince him, yeah, I'm your mom, Jason. Like, yeah, just, you know, be my bodyguard, you know, something like that. Like, you know, you could manipulate him in certain ways, I suppose. So yeah, I guess maybe I'd go with Jason. You know, he could be controlled to a certain degree. It's sort of like in Dune 2. The Austin Butler character, you know, he's a sociopath, but he can be controlled. He can be controlled. That's the key thing. Artist SRF says, actually, it's 5 times for Candyman. Okay, so I'm safe. All right. I'm getting it confused with Beetlejuice rules. Which, speaking of which, I am looking forward to the upcoming Beetlejuice this year. There was a Patreon question where I mentioned that. Play that for the next Q&A, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Still don't really have a good look at the movie, but I did think the poster they released for it was pretty clever, where it just shows Beetlejuice's hands holding up his, like, fucking, one of those waiting slips, like the fucking long waiting slip he had at the end of the original movie, where it just seems to be implying that this whole time he's just been in the waiting room in the afterlife, just waiting to finally fucking get out of there. So, I don't know. It'd be cool to treat it like, at least from Beetlejuice's perspective, he's never left. Just go into it, like, nice and fresh. I'm looking forward to some more Beetlejuice. Because it always felt like a shame that, you know, the original movie just doesn't have that much Beetlejuice in it. And it's called Beetlejuice. He has, like, 15 minutes of screen time, I think, in the original Beetlejuice. And he's, like, steals the show. He's, like, so... Like, Michael Keaton's so great as Beetlejuice, but he just doesn't get a lot of screen time in it. And he gets to deliver a performance that is unlike any other performance you've ever seen Michael Keaton deliver ever. Like, it's such a... Like, so... And you only get, like, 15 minutes of it, so it's such a shame. It's such a shame that, you know... And it's also Michael Keaton's most iconic role that is only... Because, you know, he played Batman, of course, but Batman, you know, was previously played by Adam West. Like, no other actor really owns Batman. Like, vocally, you could say Kevin Conroy owns Batman, but as far as, like, live-action portrayals, there's just been lots of different Batman, and they all bring something different to the table. But as far as Beetlejuice goes, it's just Michael Keaton live-action. That's his, like, signature role that, only he's, like, fucking, associated with. So, you know, I've been wanting more Beetlejuice, so I'm glad I'm gonna finally get it. Hopefully Tim Burton delivers a great Beetlejuice sequel. Hopefully. Because, you know, also, the funny thing is, I saw the Beetlejuice animated series before watching the original movie, so when I finally got to see the original movie, I was like, man, I fucking love that Beetlejuice cartoon. Hopefully I get to see a lot of Beetlejuice in this live-action movie. Just wasn't a lot, you know? I just want more. Want more Beetlejuice. All right. Sue Blanton says, I hope Tim Burton is an early Tim Burton form for the new Beetlejuice film. Yeah, that's also part of why I'm a little iffy about a new Beetlejuice movie, is just at least being helmed by Tim Burton, just because, you know, I feel like in a lot of his recent movies, it does feel like he's just kind of going through the motions. Maybe that could be blamed on studio interference. Hopefully that's just the case, because, yeah, I'm hoping he, like, gives us his true Tim Burton, you know, he gives us a true Tim Burton Beetlejuice sequel, because, you know, when I see stuff like Dumbo come out, I don't know. I know, like, people really liked Wednesday, but still didn't feel all that Tim Burton-y. It felt like one of those things, it felt like Lisa Frankenstein, where it felt like somebody trying to mimic Tim Burton, I guess, which is fucked up because it was by Tim Burton. I don't know. Hopefully he's, like, gonna give us, like, the stuff we fucking love Tim Burton for. Because also I feel like, you know, his style, like, in the last 20 years, it's just kind of faded away. It's not, like, he just doesn't have that same level of style and approach to things. And he's only ever, like, every now and then kind of, I don't know, kind of sort of reached the same level. Like, I don't know, like, I guess the last thing that Tim Burton made that really felt like, well, I guess there's been a few things, but they just become a little more rare over time, because Corpse Bride was great, and then there was Sweeney Todd, but yeah, a lot of his movies in the last 15 or so years generally just don't really feel like Tim Burton kind of movies. They just feel like stuff that could have been directed by anybody, where his style just isn't as much on the forefront as it used to be. Hopefully, with Beetlejuice, will mark a new era, a new Burtonaissance, where we get Tim Burton coming back. You know, it'd be nice. But maybe, I don't know, hopefully it was just studio interference. Like, they were just like, you know, this is just too weird. Like, it felt like that with his Alice in Wonderland movie. It felt like, you know, it had some, like, weird, crazy designs in it, but it didn't feel, like, dark like a Tim Burton movie should be. And it also especially sucks because I heard Tim Burton was supposed to direct the movie version of American McGee's Alice, which, you know, is that, you know, the video, like the super dark, edgy Alice in Wonderland video game. And then when he eventually does his own Alice in Wonderland thing, it's not really dark and edgy or spooky or scary. It's just kind of like, you know, fucking Mad Hatter. He's kind of pale, like he's got like a crazy hairstyle, or like the Queen of Hearts, she's got like a giant fucking head, but it's not like really spooky like you'd want it to be. Oh well. I want more spooky Tim Burton, I guess. Hopefully we're gonna finally get more of that. Ryan McClellan asks, Doc, can you do another review of The Great Houseboat Horror? Well, I technically never reviewed it. I streamed it, but I will eventually. I do want to review it, so I'll definitely give it a review, another shot. But just so you guys know, a lot of my streams of not public domain movies got taken down from YouTube, but I finally have archived all of those streams on my Patreon, so if you want to, you know, revisit some of those older streams, they're up there, you know. Check them out. But let me see. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question, because we're now in the 2.5 hour mark, so I gotta find one last question. Well, okay, I'll do a couple more questions, but we're getting close to the end. But Tevya Smolka asks, any opinion on Kevin Conroy being in Crisis Part 3? Now, I didn't know he was gonna be in that, so it's cool to know he's playing Batman, I guess, one last time in animated form. I haven't heard his voice in that. But, I guess it's, you know, since that's come about, I guess I'll check that out. It's good to know that there's still some more lost Batman stuff that's still waiting to be released. Hopefully he recorded, like, a lot of Batman material. Maybe he did. Maybe we got quite a few more Batman movies or even TV show episodes with Kevin Conroy's voice still have to go. All right, let me see. Let me find one last question. Well, okay, Hatchet Boy says Batman Returns was supposed to have been even darker, but the studio interfered with it. Not really. It's like as dark as well. I don't know. I guess maybe some of the original ideas with Penguin were they would go it more into his backstory about how he was like abused in the circus, like because like it's very clear that he was like a circus freak, and they don't go into that. So maybe that stuff got cut out. But the real issue was with Batman Returns was that it was just ended up being way too dark for the studio at the end of the day, and way too dark for the tie-in promotion stuff with McDonald's and shit. So maybe that also led to Tim Burton kind of dialing back his style over the years to make his movies more commercial. Because I feel like Batman Returns, as far as live action, is like the most Tim Burton. At least one of the most Tim Burton-esque of all of Tim Burton's live-action movies, where it's just so over the top in its vision. Like, Gotham is just so gothic in that movie, and so creepy and disturbing. Like, everything about it is just really scary. And it's like, you don't, even within Tim Burton's live-action movies, you don't really see that same level of scariness to his movies, especially over time. Like, it felt like definitely a turning point in his career. Alright, let me find a good last question to sink my teeth into. Let me see. Okay. Emperor Caleb Teen says, we have never seen your PhD doc. Well, you know, it's I mean, it's around here somewhere. Let me see. Okay. I think it got lost in the mail. I got it though. I got it. You don't really need it. I mean, you know, you could always like look me up. You know, and honestly, I have a trustworthy face. Like, just trust me. I am a doctor. It's I swear to God, I'm a doctor. So just feel completely safe in my hands if you come to my office looking for any any guidance as far as staying healthy. I'll be there. You definitely need a lot of iron in your diet, so I definitely recommend you all consider consuming razor blades, because those have plenty of iron in them, or like metal, iron like metals at least. It's the next best thing, so you make sure to not to neglect good iron in your diet. Like, you can maybe like some metal shavings at least. You know, I'm a doctor though. I'm definitely a doctor. All right. Okay, let's wrap things up. Like and subscribe this stream, and make sure to click the bell so you don't miss out on future live streams and future videos. Just a reminder, I'm going to have a Dreamchild review here on YouTube soon. Also a King Kong review. That's going to be a really big video, so make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell so you don't miss out when those go live. Also follow me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and not Twitter, X, at Dr. Wolfula. Also, I am on Threads, so follow me there. I also am on Blue Sky, but I haven't really posted there yet. But, follow me wherever you're active, and I'll try to be active there. But those are the three main places where I'm active. Then again, I'm not really all that active on Facebook, but I do post my latest videos there. So, that's the next best thing. Also, consider pledging to my Patreon, patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula, for bonus movie night streams every week. In addition to that, there also are early access to videos, also, special thanks in my videos, too. You get some bonus stuff if you support the Patreon, so consider it. And clearly, I am really tired after this stream, so gonna be logging off, taking some rest tonight, but thank you guys for the support, and thank you guys for watching. Dr. Wolfula signing out. See you all next time. Bye-bye. Pleasant screams.
Hope you enjoyed this live stream. Why don't you watch another thing while I have your attention?